Feel like
yeah, what the heck's going on? It's that bigger today. All of it. We want the whole thing.
Good thing is it's not. I mean, especially because we have a couple.
Yeah, that's bad.
So,
That's bad.
I'm here tonight.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss June and July. I'll be on Zoom June.
Okay. Usually July, we're usually about June.
I'll be Zoom.
Or it's totally fine.
Yeah, thinking.
Oh my god. They're already.
Yeah, the senior tomorrow.
What are any like favorites so far? Just Trustee. No, stuff you know.
But they're not start. They're not start.
Oh.
Oh, she's a little underneath the big screen. A little red. Can you hear me talking?
The age now, or she's like 5 years now. It's tough. Oh yeah, now, right? But it's tough when that switch happens, right? Like, oh man. Yeah. Oh well.
Yep.
So, hey, Kris, you're doing the invitation.
Yes.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. It's 6 p.m. I'd like to go ahead and call tonight's meeting to order. It's May 14th, 2026, and this is our regular council meeting. Mary Ann, can I get roll call, please?
Mayor Young,
Here.
Vice Mayor Painter, Councilmember Brandon,
Here.
Councilmember Sartori,
Here.
Councilmember Stone.
Here.
Thank you. And our invocation and pledge of allegiance is going to be led by Councilmember Sartori.
Let us pray. We give thanks for the opportunity to gather in service to our village. We ask for wisdom, respect, and unity as decisions are made for the good of all residents of Tequesta. We offer our gratitude to our first responders whose courage and dedication protect us each day. Many of those first responders will never meet the people they protect. They kiss their loved ones goodbye every morning, and they come out to protect us. We lift up our village staff whose hard work keeps our community strong. May we work together this evening and always with integrity, compassion, and a shared commitment to the people we serve. Matthew 12 tells us, make the tree good and the fruit good, for a tree is known by its fruit. Let us all work together to make our tree and our fruit the best it can be. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right, now we're starting out with presentations, and the first one tonight is our Drop Savers Poster Contest Awards. Allison.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Thank you so much for allowing us the time tonight to celebrate our Drop Saver Awards. This is an amazing program that we are happy to kickstart this year and really get going. So just a quick overview of what Drop Savers is. It's a program and initiative that's pushed by Florida section of American Water Works Association. It's an annual contest where utilities work hand in hand with local schools and educators to convey the message of water conservation and how important water is, not just for drinking, but for all the other things that we do in our life, whether it be out boating in the water that we have in the ocean or in our lakes, in our rivers, just all around water conservation and the importance of water. I also do want to take a quick second to acknowledge our judges. So we did do anonymous judging of all of the posters that were received. And those judges were Mayor Molly Young, so thank you very much, Mayor, EAC Chair Brad Freese, and then I also was one of the judges as a tiebreaker. In every bag that's received tonight by the winners, they will have a Doondogs gift card, a free round of golf at Lighthouse Cove, a Barnes & Noble gift card from Pineapple Realty and Management, Crafty Crust Pizza gift card, and art supplies and VOT Utilities swag. And with that, we will go ahead and kick off our awards. So this program is for K through 12. So we'll start with Division 1. So that's kindergarten through first grade. And in second place, Marilyn Ancona. Unfortunately, Marilyn was unable to attend tonight. In first place, Sylvia Sapiri. All right, moving into Division 2, second and third grade. We have second place, Peter Sapiri. And in first place, we had Mikey Ancona, which unfortunately also could not be here tonight. Moving into Division 3, fourth and fifth grade. In third place, Biba Forti. Can't forget the goodies. In second place, Luke Kushner. In first place, Elise Kushner. And in Division 4, 6th through 8th grade, third place, Luna Capaldi. in second place, Sage Tellez. Unfortunately, Sage could also not attend tonight. In first place, Alice Sapiri. All right, and finishing us out in Division 5, 9th through 12th grade, in second place, Jacob Began. Jacob did provide us with some very useful tips on water conservation. And then first place, Grant Crawford. Fix that leak. And unfortunately, Grant could not attend tonight as well. That wraps us up for this year's award ceremony, and I just want to take time to thank our sponsors for this year again. They're up on the screen. We couldn't do without the sponsors. They provide great value for the kids to continue providing these amazing artworks. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Allison, for getting this program going, our first one in the village, and to everyone that participated. Your artwork was so inspiring. It was very creative, and we really hope you participate next year. One more round of applause. All right, moving on to agenda item 2, we have our annual Public Safety Pension Board update by Trustee Kris Cowles. I did see here, I think he's here. I feel like I saw him. There he is.
Perfect. All right, guys, thank you. This should be rather brief. Pretty much the same thing as every year. As you can see, the value of the fund. Kyle, good to see you back.
Thank you. Good to be back.
The value of the plan has grown significantly over the last 20 years. I've been on board, I want to say, 8 or 9 years. So we've been making good progress. 41 participants in the plan now. Just over $30 million in the plan as of September of last year. 41 people, 41 participants. We continue to get the state contributions, had good returns this year, paid out a good amount to the retirees, continues to be successful. You can see the numbers there from what we received from the state, what our expenses were, investment income that we received. Let's see, the numbers that I just showed were the end of last September. As of the end of the fourth quarter, there was actually even more growth in the plan. Nearly $32 million. Asset allocation of the fund shown there. Need to break that down individually by sector, but if you have any questions, ask. A couple things that you'll see that actually is done very well is you can look and see the total fund up at the very, very top, the performance numbers there, in the dark, well, right under the dark blue. For the quarter fiscal year to date, 1 year, 3 year, 5 year. Good thing is you can see in the parentheses there, that's our ranking relative to our peers. So over the last 1 year, number 17, 72 percentile, which is pretty good. A couple things changed over the last couple of years. There was a investment policy guideline change that updated at the end of last year in November. Came down from the state, just requiring auditing of Israel. Obviously, we were not participating in that, but we obviously had to make that part of our plan documents. One of the things that we have made is reducing our assumed rate of return going forward. Obviously, we don't want to do that because the lower we put the rate of return, the more money the village has to put to the plan. So after getting a few strongly worded letters from the state, I actually brought them here so I can read them to you so you understand what they sent me. we decided to lower it very, very modestly. And to that, so we're just lowering the assumed rate of return by 5 basis points per year to bring us down to 6.75% by 2028. I think that's still in line with what we need to the letter that I received from the state here is a little bit more aggressive than that. I'll read it for you so you understand why we're making these changes. Basically, it says that our actual actuarial valuation as of October 1st of 2024 was 7%. You can see that we've brought it down a little bit since. Outlook expectations for future inflation and real returns as of the valuation date. We would consider an investment return assumption in the range of 5.7 to 6.4% to be a reasonable percentile expectation, which, in our opinion, that's very, very low. If we went down to that number, it would require a significant contribution from the village. So we're just going to kind of stay the course as where we are, get down by 5 basis points per year. So with that, even where we're at right now, we're funded, we're well funded. The contribution from the village is relatively low compared to many peers, other villages of the similar size throughout the state. Plan is funded at 98.3%. That's using the smooth valuation, where they basically add in about 20% about every 5 years to kind of smooth out increases in market value. So if we use that, we're 98.3% funded. Village contribution still remains relatively low. One of the bigger changes that we'll see here on the next slide is, even though we're showing just 98.3% funding, last year we were over 100%, but the bigger change was in the actuarial tables, life expectancy. So good news is here in Florida, people are living longer. So we had to make changes to the actuarial table. So with the actual actuarial table going out longer, basically means that we have to make contributions to the retirees for a longer time. So that's what brought down our funding ratio to that 98.3%, but it's still very strong compared to most other villages in the state. Let's see here. If you use the actual real valuation, we're actually overfunded, 104.9%. So that's good news. If we didn't use the smoothing of assets, we would actually be overfunded, but we don't want to change that. Require a significant contribution at some point in the future. Let's see. Same thing, mortality tables changed, requiring us to basically expect friends in blue back here are going to live longer, so we got to pay them longer. We're paying more, right, guys and gals? Any questions?
Thank you, Kris. Council, open up for any questions or comments.
I have none. Thank you, Kris, for your service.
Chris, I have a couple questions or comments.
here
Maybe
we
not
go.
questions for you, but more comments. Appreciate everything you're doing in the aspect of managing the funds and the investments and controlling what you control. Obviously, state mandates come down and put pressure, and that's kind of out of our control. One of the things that I noticed is that if you look at the overall payroll, you see how much payroll has increased over the last couple of years. That's putting pressure on this plan. Some of the 98%. So the plan, I believe, says that the actuary is assuming a 6% increase annually for payroll. And if you go back and look,
6 or 3?
6, but it's
You
not.
don't typically see that piece, so I don't know.
Yeah, so if you look at what the payroll increase was last year, it was almost 14% increase. And so when the average has been around 4% going back, having a big jump, obviously we understand that inflation came in, impact. But that also has an impact on what the village has to contribute. Because looking at the actuary, it's about $6 million behind and underfunded. So that's part of the increase that the village is having to make. So I just want to make it clear that payroll increases above 6 is going to create a massive increase over time. And you can't control that. That's not you, that's us up here. But I just want to point that out.
Yeah. One other thing that I kind of skipped over is some of the funds that are in the plan. Since I've been a part of the plan 8 years now, we've been trying to get out of the real estate plan. The real estate fund has not performed well. It's not a liquid fund, so we've requested distributions, and we're only getting about $10,000 a quarter back. So we're hoping that those distributions hurry up and get back to us so that we can redeploy those assets somewhere else, just because it's not been performing well. I've been trying to get out of it since I've...
Yeah. That's it.
I have no comments, just thanks for your
Thank you.
longtime service to this board, and I will see you, I guess, again in a year.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you. All right, agenda item 3 is a proclamation proclaiming EMS Week as May 17th through the 23rd, improving outcomes together.
Whereas emergency medical services is a vital public service, and whereas the members of the emergency medical services team are ready to provide life-saving care to those that need it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury, and whereas emergency medical services has grown to fill the healthcare gap by providing important out-of-hospital care, including preventative medicine, follow-up care, and access to telemedicine. And whereas the emergency medical services system consists of first responders, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, emergency medical dispatchers, firefighters, police officers, educators, administrators, pre-hospital nurses, emergency physicians, trained members of the public, and other out-of-hospital medical care providers. And whereas the members of the emergency medical services team, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. And whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of emergency medical service providers by designating Emergency Medical Services Week. Now, therefore, Molly Young, Mayor of the Village of Tequesta, in recognition of this event, do hereby proclaim the week of May 17th through the 23rd, 2026, as Emergency Medical Services Week.
Thank you, Marianne. And are we doing anything next week to recognize? I know I'm kind of jumping the gun because the next proclamation is National Police Week, and I know on our socials we've been posting. Anything we're doing for EMS Week as well?
Yeah, I think we've already posted a few things, but I know both chiefs said they have things teed up for next week as well.
Perfect, thank you. I just want to say it's wonderful to be able to recognize our fire and police for these 2 weeks on these proclamations. It is a very noble job that you do. You are beloved in our community. You keep us safe, you save our lives, you protect our properties. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything you do, and I think your families as well, because as we know, you miss out on birthdays and holidays, so they sacrifice as well. So thank you so much. Someone going to accept the proclamation, and we're going to make you take a photo?
I think they're all
You're all here for that? Okay. All right, and agenda item 4, we will read in the proclamation proclaiming May 10th through 16th, which is this week, as National Police Week and National Peace Officers Memorial Day.
Whereas in 1962, President John F. Kennedy proclaimed May 15th as National Peace Officers Memorial Day, and the calendar week in which May 15th falls as National Police Week. As the established resolution with Congress in 1962, National Police Week pays special recognition to those law enforcement officers who have lost their lives in the line of duty for the safety and protection of others. And whereas, since the first recorded death in 1786, 24,000 law enforcement officers in the United States have made the ultimate sacrifice and have been killed in the line of duty. And whereas 111 officers have lost their lives in the line of duty in 2025 and 148 officers in the previous year. Whereas there are more than 800,000 law enforcement officers serving in the communities across the United States, including the dedicated members of the Village of Tequesta Police. And whereas, while safeguarding the life and property of our citizens, Chief Gus Medina and the men and women of the department unceasingly provide a vital public service. And whereas National Police Week will be observed this year, May 10th through 16th. And whereas May 15th is designated as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of all fallen officers and their families, and U.S. flags should be flown at half-staff. Now, therefore, the Village of Tequesta Mayor Molly Young hereby proclaims the week commencing May 10th, 2026, be recognized in the Village of Tequesta as National Police Week, and publicly salute the service of law enforcement officers in Palm Beach County and the communities across the nation. We further direct that pursuant to the United States of America Public Law 103-322, that all flags be flown at half-staff on Friday, May 15th, 2026, Peace Officers Memorial Day, in honor of all fallen officers and their families.
Thank you, Marianne. You guys ready for your photo op? All right. Okay, we are now moving on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Great, I'm moving on to communications from citizens. Marianne, do we have any cards for items that are not on tonight's agenda?
We do. We have Nielsa Zacharias.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. Good afternoon, Madam Mayor, Council members. I am Nielsa Zacharias, Executive Director of the TSBF Cares Foundation. And I'm thrilled to be here supporting this foundation that collects gently used clothing, shoes, toys. We pack them and we ship them to Paraguay. Paraguay is a developing country with high level of poverty. So we ship them to low-income families, children, the elderly. We also send them school supplies. And I have been doing this for many years. And after my mother passed away in 2020, I decided to start a foundation, which was formally established in 2024. We are a non-for-profit IRS exempt organization, and I'm here to ask you please to consider allowing us to have a box at the lobby where residents and anybody could drop in their gently used clothing, shoes, toys for adults, for children, or school supplies. So we just have done this initiative in the town of Manalapan. It was very successful. So I will truly appreciate if we can have a box at the lobby. Thank you so much for your consideration.
Thank you, Nelsa. Question for, I guess it's for Keith. If there's consensus tonight to do that, is that something we have to formally vote on and would it have to be postponed to the next meeting? Or if there's consensus to allow a box?
I think if you have council consensus, you can direct the village manager to work with Nelson, and otherwise you would need to come back with a motion or amend the agenda tonight. But I'm comfortable with council consensus if you have that.
Okay. Council thoughts on allowing a drop box in the lobby?
One question, it's just technical. Is this seasonal collection or are you collecting all year long?
I collect all year long. However, right now we are very much actively doing boxes, like this Saturday in my home at 11 a.m. So anyway, we would like to send it sometime in June. So, but the boxes we collect all year around. But I know this is a spring cleaning, so it's actually a good timing for anybody that is not using anymore their in their closet. You know,
So you're just looking for temporary box for now?
Yes, we can leave the box. It's up to you. 1 month, 2 months, we can leave the box there. And whenever it's filled, I will come to pick it up and box it them to send it to Paraguay.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I thank you, Nielsen, for that. There's so many great causes out there, and so many organizations do the same. So I'm in support of putting a box out here, but maybe doing it for 6 months so we don't get something when somebody else approaches us. And I think this gets you through the summer and through fall when the kids are growing up and perhaps growing out of clothes. So I would recommend something around 6 months, and then look at it again or open it up for somebody else to come in and do that.
I was thinking for a shorter period of time, but I'd prefer like 3 months. Whatever. I think it's a good cause.
I think summer. I think too, because we do our school drive before school starts. So I think I prefer to
Have it wrapped up.
have yours, remove, I don't know the proper way. You can take yours and then when we do our school drive, so it doesn't compete with that. So you can make that the deadline.
90 days?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where are the deadlines?
I'll coordinate whenever our school drive starts. I'll notify Nielsa, so I'll coordinate with her to get it all set up.
Perfect. Okay.
I truly appreciate. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Nelsa. Good seeing you.
Thank you.
Any other comment cards from citizens?
Pastor Paul?
Thank you. It's good to see you again. Thank you. Good evening, Council. On behalf of Carol and I'd like to personally invite you all to our ribbon cutting and flag waving ceremony at Hannah's Home Campus next Thursday morning at 10 o'clock. The flagpole was installed today. Our Tequesta Police and Fire will be in charge of raising that flag for the first time. And it's going to be just a wonderful, wonderful experience. And we both want to thank you for your encouragement over these years and your assistance. It's meant the world to us, so we appreciate it so very much. And also, on a personal note, I've been gone for a little while, getting my 6-month checkup, and after all the CAT scans and MRIs and blood tests and all the rest, my surgeon told me that I am completely and totally cancer-free. So needless to say, I was very excited. I was texting different people, and I texted Chief and told him, and he texted me back and said, Pastor, I'm so thankful for you and your family. And he said, I'll get back to work. He said, that's an order. And then he extended my contract for 15 years. He's the best boss in the world. And also, let me just say, it is an honor, Chief, to serve as our critical incident stress manager, dealing with all the police that have been shot and suicides. It's an honor to be able to serve all these years, and thank you so much for the privilege of serving our village. Thank you.
Congrats,
Thank you,
Pastor
Pastor Paul. Okay, any other public comment for items that are not on tonight's agenda? All right, moving on to communications from council.
I have nothing.
I am good.
Wow, me too. Nothing.
Me too. All right, moving on. Going on to appointments. Agenda item 9, resolution 03-26. Resolution of, well, I'll let you read this one in.
You don't have to read the
I don't have to read it in?
No,
Okay.
you're doing fine.
But I have an intro for you, if you want me to.
Thanks, that'd be
introduce it.
fantastic.
Before you tonight is a resolution 0326 regarding the village annual boards and committee appointments and reappointments for the 26-27 term. Each year in May, the council considers appointments to our advisory boards and committees, which play an important role in supporting council policy decisions and encouraging community involvement in the village government. Consistent with council direction provided in 2020, the village advertised all expiring terms community-wide to provide residents the opportunity to volunteer, participate in local government service. This year, we received applications for vacancy on the Environmental Advisory Committee, the Planning and Zoning Board, and General Employee Pension Board. The Environmental Advisory Committee currently has 4 vacancies, with 2 incumbent members seeking reappointment and 2 new applicants. The Planning and Zoning Board has 2 regular member vacancies, with 2 incumbents requesting reappointment and 4 additional applicants expressing interest. The General Employee Pension Board has 1 vacancy with 4 applicants, and the Public Safety Pension Board item is ministerial acceptance of the board selected 5th member. Included in your backup materials are applications, qualifications, background information for each candidate, as well as proposed resolution reflecting the appointments and reappointments for council consideration.
Thank you, Jeremy. So to the applicants, what we like to do is call you up so you can just tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're interested in serving on the particular committee or board that you signed up with. I know the incumbents for the EAC that are requesting reappointment, I don't think either are here, but I know Mrs. Gomez is here. If you'd like to come up and introduce yourself.
Good evening. My name is Barbara Gomez. I've been a resident of Tequesta since 1986. I live in the Chapel Court area. We built our home there and we stayed and have no intention to go anywhere else. My background is in education. I was a school administrator for over 30 years. Prior to that, I taught civics and American government in high school. Since retirement, I've been involved in tutoring kids who are at risk with reading. I have volunteered in various places. My latest place where I do volunteer is with the Hope Sound Nature Center. On Thursdays, I'm usually waist deep in the water, collecting all kinds of things with elementary school kids, going over with them the importance of preserving our Indian River Lagoon and talking about conservation. So I'm kind of a hands-on person. Prior to that, I was involved in animal rescue. I was one of the first people in the area to contact the University of Florida, which is my alma mater, and start the trap, neuter, release program for stray cats in Jupiter and in Tequesta, because we know how these cats out there on their own affect our bird population and so forth. So I'm kind of a silent activist. I get involved, I like hands-on, and I'm very interested in being a part of the Environmental Academy. I think I also stated that planning and zoning was an interest of mine. I feel like they kind of go hand in hand. If you don't plan things, you don't zone properly, they have a negative impact on the environment. So I'm willing to serve, and I think that I can bring a good mix of talent with me to work with people from all different walks of life that are involved in our environment or in our planning and zoning. Thank you.
Thank you. Council, any questions for
No,
Mrs. Gomez? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and next is Brooke Bonema here. Did I say that correctly? Yes.
Good evening, Council. It's nice to meet you all. My name is Brooke Bonema, and I've been a full-time resident of Tequesta for just over 2 years, but my husband and I have been doing young snowbirding for the last 5 or 6 years down here. Our family has lived down here for decades, and we love it down here, hence why we moved. We started in Tequesta Oaks and now live in Tequesta Country Club and have no plans on leaving. My day job is an energy attorney, so I love all things environment, and I've dedicated my 9 to 5 to helping steward our natural resources, but I want to get involved on a local level as well. Obviously, what's been bringing our family down here for generations has been the beauty and the natural environment here in Tequesta, but also the community and just how special of a place it is, and I love to do my part to serve and help make sure we maintain the community, but also maintain the environment and natural beauty that we have down here for generations to come. So thank you. I look forward to serving, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you. Council, any questions, comments?
No, thank you for your application.
Thank you. All right, so the resolution we have to vote, it's all combined together, but do you guys want to discuss each different board and committee as we go? So the EAC, there was 4 seats open, 4 people applied, so I think we have 2 very fantastic and really qualified new residents joining the EAC. So thank you for your interest, and we look forward to seeing what you do on the EAC. All right, moving on to the Planning and Zoning Board, we have requested reappointments by, is it Jean or Jeannie? Jean. McEldowney, did I get that? Perfect. All right, do you just want to come up and reintroduce yourself real quick to council and why you want to continue serving?
Good evening. My name is Jean McEldowney. I've 2 years been active on a regular member of the zoning board, 2 years as an alternate. I live on Beach Road, and we've been residents since 2010, owned there for 35 years. It's been my pleasure to serve on the zoning board. I love it. I've been in the real estate business my whole life, 40 years active, retired now, but was very involved in zoning all those years in Connecticut. I hope to remain on the zoning board. Especially now there's changes, and certainly changes on Beach Road. And I'm very involved in Beach Road. I'm the president of my board at CMIST. Always been active on Beach Road. And so I just hope that I can stay on. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Council, any questions or comments for Jean?
No, ma'am.
All right. Next, requesting reappointment, Liz Shower.
Good evening. Long time no see. Liz Shower. I've been on the planning and zoning since its inception, over 20 years. I've been a resident for the Village of Tequesta for 40. We live in Tequesta Pines, and it is my honor to be a member of the planning and zoning, and I thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments for Liz?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
When are you going to retire? When are you going to retire?
New applicants we have, Sean Anderson.
Mayor, Council, nice to see you again. So I met most of you. I'm a recent graduate of the Tequesta Resident Academy, and I'm interested to, to serve in the community here in the village, and to be part of the Planning and Zoning Board. My experience, I have been in construction the last 30 years, so I've been from the guy laboring to supervisor to project management and to now into a project executive role. So I've seen construction from all aspects through those years, and I believe I have gained an insight into the construction industry, and my whole career is about plans, dealing with building departments and working through the challenges on the side of the construction person, but also understanding some of the constraints and the requirements from the cities and the building departments that I build in. So with that, I'd love the opportunity to be on the Planning and Zoning Board and offer a fresh eye and to be able to serve the community.
Thank you, Sean. Council, any questions? No, ma'am.
No, not for Sean. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next, Mrs. Ireland.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, other residents. My name is Giannina Ireland. I have been a resident of Tequesta since 1991. I think that's longer than some of you have been alive. But when I retired, I taught with Barbara Gomez at Jupiter High School. When I retired, I had been living here for 25 years, and all of a sudden it was, gee, look at all the stuff that's going on around Tequesta that I had really not been aware of because I had been doing other things. And the longer I looked around, and then recently I graduated from the Residence Academy, and it's time to be involved. Better late than never. And planning and zoning is something that I had no idea about. And then I learned some things when I was in the academy, and I thought, this is something that I really want to learn more about. And the best way to do it is to become part of it. And so I would like to become part of the Planning and Zoning Board.
Thank you. Any questions, Council?
No.
No, ma'am. Right, Kimberly Windish.
Good evening. I'm Kimberly Windish. I live at 72 Yacht Club Place. I'm a mom. I'm a Gigi. My family roots go back nearly 100 years here in northern Palm Beach County. I grew up in a building material business. We furnished and sold to most contractors that built custom homes. I have been self-employed for 32 years. I bought my first home in Tequesta in 1998. I have lived in incorporated and unincorporated Tequesta since then. I'm a real estate broker. I've had a property management business. I bring a very diversified background for this planning and zoning. Right now I'm building a spec in Tequesta Country Club, and I was very proud of myself because I heard the horror stories of the building department that I was able to get that permit without any questions except for a question to the civil engineering for the drainage, and that was on him, not on me. So I also am very deep into the community with selling real estate and the property management. I've leased commercial spaces. I've probably owned a dozen homes. Sometimes I've had up to 3 homes at a time. My personal home and homes that I invest in, and I bring a lot of beauty to the village of Tequesta in the work that I do. I'm very giving. I have helped Carol with Hannah's home since she acquired it 20 years ago. And I also am out and about with the residents a lot. I'm not afraid to talk to people and shake their hands. And so I understand what the residents want. I also understand that growth happens. Whether we want it or we don't want it, you can't deny it. You guys need revenue. We need to keep you guys employed. We need to keep everything pretty. We need the streets done, the pavement, all of that. So there has to be a give and a take of that growth. Not letting it get out of control, but knowing what to allow and to be very adamant in planning the future for the residents in mind. I know exactly what they want and what they don't want. And this is right up my alley. I spend most of my days researching. I love to research properties and taxes. I understand the right-of-ways. I can read plans, all of it. So I would really be excited if I was accepted. But I also have to say, I did not look at the agenda. I did not know the other people here that were in the Resident Academy with me, and I think they're great candidates too. So I think, and I think that their heart is in the same spot as mine. So, thank you.
Thank you, Kimberly. Council, any questions?
No, ma'am.
All right, and last, Jessica Buckman.
Hi, everybody. Good to see you all again, even Jeremy. My name's Jessica Buckman. I'm 36 years old. I have been a resident of Tequesta for 10 years, but my husband's family's been a resident just as long as Mrs. Gomez. We live a couple houses down, 166 Chapel Lane. So they built the house in 1984, and then we actually bought it back from the lady that had it for 17 years, so me and my husband. So big fan of Tequesta, don't see us going anywhere. I'm a mom of 2, almost 3, and my employment is working for Tampa General Hospital. So my background for 10 years was business operations, and just the last 5 years I've worked in more like property management. And so I manage everything on the East Coast, real estate development, facilities management, construction management, design, work with multiple municipalities and understand the process. And so I'd love to put my skills to the test for the village, learn a thing or two, and help preserve the village's history and future. So, but I'm in it for the long haul, so I can be patient. I realize there's lots of spots to fill.
Thank you, Jessica. Council, any questions for Jessica?
No, ma'am.
All right, and that is everyone who has applied for the P&Z vacancies. So I'll open it up for discussion.
I'll start. Thank you to all the applicants that applied. Planning and zoning, I believe, is kind of the tip of the spear when it comes to what we do up here, and what really they're all tough decisions because they all impact somebody's life. When somebody comes up here to this podium, it's the biggest thing in their life in that moment to be willing to speak in front of people they don't know or people that they don't like. And so I take a lot of value when I read our backups and I look at planning and zoning, what their decision is and the comments that were made. So I think planning and zoning is very, very, all of our committees are critical. But this one, for me, it's comforting to know what the vote was and what their discussion was, and I think it's very, very critical. The part I hate about this process is that everybody that applies is always overqualified and tremendously qualified. My position has been that if an incumbent wants to come back and they've done what they have supposed to do and they attend and and I feel that I'm in alignment with some of their positions, then I would like to continue with the reappointment of Ms. McEldowney and Ms. Shower. And when it comes to our 2 new applicants, and there's 4, and they're all tremendously qualified, but I would put a nod. Oh, I'm sorry, there's just 2 vacancies overall. That's right. Pardon me. So unfortunately, for everybody else, I will go with the incumbents because they've done a great job. I value and respect their opinion and the work that they do and the time they put into it, and I'm very comfortable with that. It's just a hard world to break into. It really, really is. And I just hope that the people that have applied tonight apply again, and that maybe at some point some of these long haulers will step aside at some point, but as long as you're here, I have no problem reappointing them. So.
This is what happens when you have a small town full of very passionate residents, right? But that's a good thing. So I see that as a good thing. I like that we don't have a bunch of board members, leaving and coming and leaving and coming, because I'm a fan of consistency. I'm a fan of multiple viewpoints on different boards. I wouldn't want a board full of attorneys because I find that not to be productive. I like every viewpoint possible. I like every age bracket possible. We went through a transition on the P&Z several years ago, and I think it was for the best. The conversations when I listen to all the meetings, the P&Z conversations that they have now are productive. They're respectful, they're back and forth, so that way they can have open conversations. And for us, that's helpful because that helps us hear other angles of things we're reviewing as well. And when we have to speak to residents thoroughly and make the best educated, lawful decisions we can up here, I would be okay leaving the incumbents as is because I don't see a problem or a nuisance, so to speak, at this time. But for those who apply for all the boards, and we always say this, those who are consistent, patient, and we see you out in Publix. We see you when you come to meetings. I see applicants sometimes come, but then we don't see them ever again. And for me, that's very telling because if you're gonna stand up here and say, I wanna be so involved and I'm passionate, but then we never see you, the action speaks louder than the resume for me. So for anyone who is really interested, there is a time where an opening will come up. And like Rick said, it's really hard to break into because our residents, I mean, they're active, they're passionate, and again, we're a small town, we stick. So for those who keep coming, we notice, and public meetings are open to anyone. There is public comment at P&Z meetings, at EAC meetings, and our meetings, as well as events, and just continue to be a part of our family, especially if you're sort of somewhat new. If you haven't been here for 36, 37 years, just keep growing into our family, and I guarantee you put that out into the universe, it'll come back as a return.
I think the Residence Academy was a great idea, and it has created a lot of great opportunity of people coming in wanting to volunteer. So I believe we're doing a workshop coming up on maybe some other boards potentially talking about it, maybe. So stand by. You never know. There might be an opportunity. So I'm not here to rock the boat.
All right, I'll first of all, see P&Z is near and dear to me because that's where I started, and I know I served with Liz on P&Z. My professional background was very applicable for that board, and I do, like Councilmember Brandon says, I watch all the meetings. Lots of times, we do get the recommendation on our agenda, but you have to really watch the meeting, get all the context, and know what was said and why the decisions were made. And so I will say too, what Councilmember Stone said is we have 4 applicants from the Residence Academy, which is fantastic. It was great to see that, and all very well qualified as well. So thank you for applying and wanting to get involved. And please don't be discouraged. Like Councilmember Brandon said, like stay engaged, come to the meetings, keep in touch with us, and just always keep an eye out for those openings. And please do apply again. And we, like Councilmember Stone said, is it going to be at our next workshop or? Okay.
That's the plan.
Yeah, we'll be talking about potentially some new committees we might be creating. So a little spoiler alert there, and there might be more opportunity to be involved down the road.
Can I make one more comment?
Yeah.
It was Pastor Paul's grandson that helped during an internship to create the Residence Academy.
It was. Good roots over there.
Okay, so I think is the consensus to reappoint the incumbents?
I'm in
For
favor of
P&Z,
that.
yes.
I think we have a motion for this one, please.
Oh, do we do it at the end with everything because it's one resolution, or
There's still more to do.
There's still
Okay,
more to do. Yeah, we're still rolling.
My apologies.
We're still rolling. Okay.
But yes, you are correct. One motion for the
Yeah, it's
whole
all one
package.
resolution. Okay. So moving on to the General Employee Pension Board, we have one vacancy and then one ministerial acceptance. So the applicants that have applied for the vacancy is Ann Amedio. Is she here? Thank you, Ann.
Just for the record about the one ministerial, that's the board will select that. Typically it's been Michael Rhodes. He wasn't at the last meeting, or he was at the last meeting. They didn't have a quorum, so they couldn't bring that to council for you guys to accept that. So in theory, you guys are just one vacancy that you guys are doing, just one spot.
Yep. Thank you for the clarification. Right.
Hello, council and mayor, manager, village clerk. My name's Anna Medio. I've been in Tequesta now for 14 years and absolutely love it. My educational background is I have a degree in accounting and a master's in business administration. and I am also a recent graduate of the Village Academy that I loved every minute of. I'm interested in serving on the pension board because of my accounting background and my finance background. Most of my career I spent as an insurance accountant, and I feel that insurance accounting is very similar to pension work, as the investments are for the benefit of someone other than the company that you work for. I'm very comfortable with regulatory environments and auditors and actuaries and all of the rules and laws that go along with those things. I understand fiduciary responsibility, and I like to learn a little bit more about the pension side of things. Currently, I am the benefits administrator at my job. I'm a director of finance for a marketing company. We don't have a pension, but we do have a 401k. I do volunteer work with Hearts for Moms. That's a group that nurtures single moms, and I am a finance counselor for some of the moms. I'm also I work on the contributions team at Christ Fellowship. We count all the money after church. And that's about all. I'm, again, like a lot of people here, because I got the itch to serve when we had the Village Academy, and so I'd like to sit on the board if I could.
Thank you, Ann.
Thank
Council,
you,
any
Pam.
questions?
No questions. Thank you, Ann.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Lindley Graves Jr. I don't think he's here. Okay. And then we have up next Mrs. Ireland. Did you want to add anything else for?
Well, not much has happened since I last.
Okay. It's a different board, so I don't know if you wanted to say anything else. And then same with Mr. Anderson. Is there anything else you wanted to add for this board? Because it is a different board, so I don't.
Second opportunity, rerun. Mayor, council, nice to see you again. Sean Anderson. What I didn't say before is that I moved into Tequesta in 2020. So my wife and I moved here, and we've loved every minute of it since. And so this pension board, obviously planning and zoning was my first choice because of my career, but I'm looking to get on the board and be able to serve. And through my project executive experience in construction, we have to manage all of these contracts, multi-million-dollar construction projects. So looking at numbers and being able to digest cost to complete and various contracts, finances is something I deal with on a daily basis. And I know this pension is slightly different, but I'm looking forward to the opportunity to serve in a different capacity.
Thank you. All right, that is all the applicants. So council, I will open it up for discussion.
I too started in the pension. I came from the Public Safety Officer Pension Board, and I got involved the week I moved here, believe it or not. The pension boards are fascinating, and it's nice to be able to give input and direction for somebody's future that we're planning for. Again, a talent pool that's very tough to decide, but I am going to put my strength, my vote and my strength and my voice behind Sean Anderson.
I am just going to flat out appoint Ann. And you say Amedio? Yes. Okay. I'm going to vote for Ann.
Big shoes to fill, by the way.
Yes, this is for Councilmember Stone's seat. That is now vacant.
All joking. So looking at the applicants and those in the history in the workplace, I'm gonna second Miss Lori.
Okay, and I do agree. I think out of all the applicants, that Ann definitely has the most qualified professional experience to help on this board. So that will be Ann. And again, to the other applicants, thank you for your interest, and stay tuned for our workshop, because I think there's going to be some other opportunities to get involved. And the last one, I don't know if we need to discuss, it's a public safety pension board. That's a ministerial acceptance of Peter Allen.
Yeah, we'll put that in the resolution, because I think he did come from the board, so I think that's going to be included.
Okay. So Keith, do you need us to read out all the appointments again for the motion, or what do you want us to do?
I think that's probably the most appropriate way to do it. just so that everybody hears the motion and there's no misunderstanding.
Perfect. Okay, so the motion would be to approve Resolution 03-26 and then list the appointments for each committee and board, please.
You want to do it?
Go for it.
Oh, okay. Hopefully I don't mess this up. Oh, Lordy. Okay. For the Environmental Advisory Committee, the motion would be to reappoint Michelle Scharouse and Jill Wenta, appoint new sitting members Barbara Gomez and Brooke Bonema. Is that how you say it? Oh my gosh. For Planning and Zoning Board, reappoint Jeannie, McAdowney. Okay. And Liz Shower. And then for the General Employee Pension Board, appoint Ann Amedio. And for Public Safety Pension Board, Peter Allen.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you again, everyone. All right, moving on to our standing reports. Village Attorney.
Thanks, Mayor. Just been trying to follow along what's going on in Tallahassee. It looks like on property tax reform, the intent is to convene a special session sometime before the end of July. That's kind of where it is right now, and the governor is adamant that there will be something on the ballot for people to vote on in November. So that's very high level, but that's kind of where it is right now. We'll have to adopt a budget, and they just did the redistricting, so they have until August 1st to get it done in order for there to be time to get something on the ballot. So for middle of May, they still have a couple months, but that's kind of what's going on. Obviously, that's important to all the municipal taxing authorities for going forward. So just wanted to give you an update on where that was. That's all I have for you for tonight.
Thank you, Keith. And I'll add to that too, just so it's on record that Jeremy and myself, we've been keeping in touch with FLC. We, spoke to Casey Cook, what was that, last week or the week before? So we are keeping tabs on things, making sure, we're still doing our part in our messaging and talking to our legislators in our district as well. So it's not over till it's over. All right, Village Manager.
All right, speaking of legislation, we're still waiting. Tequesta Park was passed by the legislature, waiting for the governor's signature. If the governor doesn't sign it by June 1st, it automatically takes effect. So we're still waiting on that. Quiet zone, we've been given an update on that every month. So just to stay with that theme, Public Works officially initiated the quiet zone process by filling the notice of intent on April 2nd. Certified notices were mailed to FRA, FEC Railway, and Brightline, and the village has certified mail documentation confirming receipt. That NOI started the 60-day review and comment period, which expires June 1st. During this period, FRA, Railroad, and related agencies may provide comments regarding safety measures, signage, traffic operations, signal coordination, or request inspections related to the proposed quiet zone. The FRA may also conduct a field inspection of the crossing and installed improvements as part of the review process. In the interim, Public Works has ordered the required quiet zone signs and will coordinate installation of the required signage. If no unresolved comments are received after the 60-day period, the village can proceed with filing a notice of quiet zone establishment. The NOE is the formal federal notice establishing the quiet zone and identifying the effective date. Federal regulations require a minimum 21-day waiting period after the NOE is filed before the quiet zone can officially take effect. So that's our official stance, or where we stand with the quiet zone today. A couple of projects that are county projects. Old Dixie, we are expecting them to start resurfacing Old Dixie in mid-June. And then they are planning on Beach Road to doing the resurfacing in late June. Nearly all of Beach Road from US 1 to the northern end of Palm Beach Palm Beach County Road, which is 19955 Beach Road, so it'll go almost the entire boundary. Is a little concerning because we do have our water main project that we did submit for SRF funding, so we got some timelines that we had to meet there. I know Allison reached out to Palm Beach County today, and they are aware of our issue now, and we're trying to coordinate with them. We may even have an ability to save some money with the resurfacing that we typically do with that water main. So Allison did a great job jumping on that, and she might be able to provide better timeline for that. Tequesta Bridge restoration project that we've been talking about for the last couple of years. I think almost a $900,000 project. Pre-con was Wednesday. Notice to proceed is June 29th. And the contract will have 90 days, so they'll have till the completion of September 25th for completion for that, or substantial completion. And then every year, kind of a fun note, every year I give out a grant award to the department that has been the most successful with grants throughout the year. This year the award went to the PD. They did not want to bring the award and rub it into all the other departments that were here, so we just took a picture just so they could be humble about it. But I'm sure he's been glowing with that trophy around the department. Just some things that, I mean, they've been wildly successful for the last couple of years. The gun safety class, the traffic safety grant, the bulletproof vest. They got a grant for 2 drones this year, Bureau of Land Management program, the Manatee program, safety grant program. So well done for them every year, and just want to point out how great they've done with that grant program. With that, you have my report.
Thank you. Any questions for the manager?
Comments. We don't have a Parks and Rec report, but or a presentation, but 2 things on Parks and Rec. The concert at the park last Saturday was absolutely amazing. The 250th America's Birthday concert series, I think, was a tremendous success. So to Greg, public safety, everybody that was there, I mean, it was a great showing, great crowd. Park is probably in its best shape that we've seen in what seems to be in a long time. And Jeremy, on the report, your report, it is under the April 2026 department reports. Under the Parks and Rec, we've got a section that says field reservations, number of times, not the estimated attendance. Maybe once a quarter or once or twice a year, can you just let us know what fields are being used? Is it courts? Is it fields? What sport is it? Is it lacrosse on the baseball field? Something like that. Just to have a better idea of the usage of that as we go into, hopefully into Tequesta Park.
That helped. No problem with that. I know Miss Brandon had asked for Parks and Rec to give a report, once or twice a year, kind of because they were going through this concert series, had a lot going on. I allowed their request to punt that for a few months, but when they do come back, I'll make sure we include that.
Awesome.
So,
great. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments for the manager?
Ma'am.
Nope.
Okay. Police Department.
You can leave that photo up, Marianne.
You mean leave it up for fire too, when fire's giving their presentation?
Yeah, fire's not in the photo. That's only police department.
There's a lot more grants offered to them.
There you go. Always the losers. Evening, Mayor, Council. Thank you for having us as always. You have my monthly report before you. I just wanted to, again, like Councilman Stone said about Eli starting the Residence Academy. It was a phenomenal idea. I know him and Jeremy worked on it. That was one of Jeremy's projects. But even on our Tequesta Residence Action Committee, our police committee, we've had 3 people from the Residence Academy. So it really does have a lot of participation. I'm happy about that. A couple of highlights. Last time I was here, Officer Terrell had started with us March 31st. I'm happy to say Officer Terrell is done with his field training officing program already. He honestly latched on. A lot of our systems were similar to where he came from, and honestly, he's hit the ground running, so I want to congratulate him. Probably the 2nd or 3rd quickest, so he must feel like the fire department, 2nd or 3rd compared to police, but don't get used to it. We usually win anyway. The Tequesta concert series, Greg does a phenomenal job with that. We're always there. Lieutenant Blanc's always here running the guys and gals. They do a phenomenal job. We did Coffee with a Cop with the Shred event with our clerk's office. We will have our first one. I talked about it last month, June 4th on Thursday from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. at Perks Coffee. So just to let the council know, each one of them, we will be inviting one of you. If you can, come talk to the residents with us just to kind of talk to the community as well. So the first one will be at Perks Coffee. I know Mayor Young will be there, so I'm glad about that. August 1st, we will be doing, right before school, we'll be doing a bike event / gaming event for our kids in the park. Officer Terrell over there has been spearheading that since he started. We're getting people together to put that together as far as a bike education component to it with the e-bikes and everything else that we deal with, as well as gaming with the officers or against the officers. He's still working that out. So it'll be, it should be a fun event. I believe right now the hours are 10 to 2 or 10 to 4, depending on scheduling with the event. So we're looking forward to that. And that's all that I have, except this month we did, just to let everybody know, and I always remind people, fingerprinting services are free for our residents. Just call Maria and just schedule an appointment anytime for our residents. We always make time, we make sure we have someone available. If you're a non-resident, unfortunately, it's a little harder, but if you're a resident, we always make sure we fit you in. So that's all I have, if anyone has any questions.
Thank you, Chief. Council, any comments or questions?
Just one question.
Yes, ma'am.
I forget what you guys call it, but the vacation home thing that you guys do, you still do that?
Our home checks, yes, we do.
Yeah, so it's summer coming and people leaving for like a week or two at a time, we still
Yep.
do that, you just register, it's still a simple process?
Yep, you still come in. You could actually grab the form online, or you could come into the station and Maria will fill it out for you. And our COPs, our volunteers, will do a phenomenal job with that. We'll make sure they go out there and check it. And, at times there might be an open door or a car in the driveway that's not supposed to be there. They'll call our officers and we'll make sure we address it. But yeah, that continues.
All right, thank you.
2 questions. What's the plan for being on the water during the summer?
Hopefully, we'll be out there a lot more. It's funny you say that. Chief Magoo was actually speaking to Florida Guard. We're looking to get additional officers trained on the waters. Right now, we have Mike Loney, John Pruitt is almost there. Hopefully, he'll get there. But we have a class that we'll be setting up with the Florida Guard at the Annex, the training center, just to have additional people out there. So,
Second question, softball game?
Softball game?
Softball game. Fire.
Us against fire?
Yeah.
Is that what you call it, a softball game?
Yeah, something like that.
Last time I remember, that wasn't much of a game.
It wasn't.
I think fire was staging while we were scoring.
Give them an opportunity.
Get to ref it?
We get to participate.
I like that idea.
That was the second trophy you have. For the record, we won 39-11, and I was upset that we didn't score 50 runs, but yes.
Oh.
Yes. Whenever they're ready, they can get some.
They haven't asked to come back and play?
Oh, I wouldn't either if I was them.
I have no questions or comments.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Chief.
All right.
Next up, Fire Department.
Should I even, or should I?
Yeah, you should.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Mayor, Council. I wasn't here for the last softball event, and I played like most of my life, so I'll accept that challenge extended. We did have our normal meetings this month, but I did have one in particular of note. I met with JIC to do a tour of the Emergency Operations Center, continue to build that relationship with them as the season that I don't like to mention per my boss is starting in about 2 weeks, so I won't talk about it. And but our plan went out to all the department heads, and they're going to update their new staff members, phone numbers, any kind of emergency plans that they have to update the plan with. And that's going to be done over the next couple of weeks, plus a virtual tabletop or a virtual exercise, that will also go out probably tomorrow morning. That will be conducted until the beginning of hurricane season. So I said the word. We did have our Easter open house. I don't know if anybody's got pictures of that up there. I think she attached them. There you go. I've never seen so many plastic Easter eggs in my life, and they were gone in about 12 seconds. So it was pretty impressive to watch. My second time doing it, and pretty wild. So you can see, if you can scroll down, I'm just going to jump forward real quick. So we do our physical ability test every year. Captain Giblin, who was here a little bit earlier, that was his last one, and he participated, and we are 100% passing, so everybody passed it. It is not the easiest test, but he did it flying colors. So once again, we are 100% passed. We are also getting ready to start training at Tequesta Country Club. We got the go-ahead, it looks like June and July, for some live training out there. There's absolutely nothing better than a live building, and we're going to invite PD to do some type of a joint drill when we get that going, probably some type of an active shooter drill. And we'd like to invite all of you out there as well, and the media, and see what we can do about getting y'all in some turnout gear and see how that works. So it should be interesting. All Hollywood smoke, but it's still very realistic because it is a live building. So Adam Evans, one of my firefighters, is actually in an officer development course. He's one of the last ones that needed to complete it. That is taking the upcoming lieutenant's exam, which was actually posted earlier or late last week. So I'm going to have probably 5 candidates for 2 spots right away. It's a very physically demanding class. He's been reassigned. They cannot come back to work afterwards. They stay there for about 10 hours a day, and they work through a lot of different scenarios. So it's a great program, and it's part of our agreement with automatic aid with Palm Beach County Fire Rescue. So that works out very, very well. I did mention hurricane stuff, and the last thing is, it was very coincidence and convenience that crew that was here tonight, that's my EMS shift. So each shift handles something. For those that don't know, A shift is the EMS shift, and Andre Dodd, who is here tonight, he's getting ready to clean up on some awards over the summer for excellence in service from both let me say this right, the North Palm Chamber of Commerce, and then the other one is the Palm Beach County Fire Chiefs Association EMS Advisory Board. So he's going to win 2 awards probably over the course of the next few months. He is an outstanding person to have at this department, and he is probably going to be a captain here in the next few months. So thank you very much. That is all I have. Does anyone have any questions?
Thank you, Chief. Counsel?
No. Just one, help me catch up on the relationship with us and the town of Jupiter's new fire department.
So I do have that on here. Pardon me. I forgot about that. So I have been going back and forth with them, talking to them quite a bit. We do have a mutual aid agreement in place that has gone through legal already, and that will be on your agenda in June.
Okay.
So very standard, very similar in place to what I have with Martin County. It's an on-demand type system. Our automatic aid agreement with Palm Beach County still has another year and 6 months to sunset. So unless that needs to change because of Jupiter coming online, I think that's going to remain in place until, like I said, until it sunsets next September 30th.
Okay.
So, but yeah, it's a very, very, very standard language for the mutual aid agreement. And because of ISO regulations, anybody that touches your specific municipality, you have to have some kind of agreement in place with them. Usually mutual aid and automatic aid is the bigger one. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
No.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief. Okay, Utilities Department.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Allisonburg Utilities Director. Just a couple of quick updates. Our water treatment master plan, which is being performed by Kimley Horn, they have provided us with the draft plan, so we are reviewing that, giving them some feedback, and then we hope to have a finalized plan before the end of June. For Water Main 1, which is Tequesta Drive water main replacement, we are wrapping up that project, but it's challenging to push it over the finish line. We have had some unexpected issues with some tie-ins and some unexpected conflicts, and being able to isolate the mains with existing valves. But both Ferreira and our staff are doing what they can to continue pushing forward, and we are hopeful that we will have it wrapped up early to mid-June. With that being said, Riverside Drive South road crossing, it's the last road crossing and major impacted traffic except for milling and paving that will happen for this project, and that is scheduled for next week, Monday the 18th through Friday the 22nd. So there is a message board out right now. We have put some messages out on social media, and we'll continue to push the impacts to traffic on South Riverside Drive. Additionally, as I mentioned, the milling and paving, that's scheduled for Tuesday the 26th through Friday the 29th. So that's for the entire length of road from Tequesta Drive all the way through to El Portal. There are sections, it's not the entire road that'll be milled and paved, but there are sections where the open cuts were performed. And then Doug with Public Works, they will be doing from Seabrook to Short Ave with Wynn and Sons. So there will be some road construction work going on, but we will put some social media messages out to let residents know of the possible traffic impacts. Water Main 2 Beach Road Phase 2, the notice to proceed will be issued for June 23rd. Right now we do have some community outreach meetings scheduled for June 2nd at 10 a.m. and 5 p.m., June 4th at 11 a.m. and 6 p.m., and then we do have a separate meeting with Jupiter Inlet Colony at their commission meeting on June 16th. All 4 of those meetings are open to the public, and then Jupiter Inlet Colonies as well. The first one on June 2nd will be recorded and put on the website for those who can't attend it in person. And as Jeremy mentioned, we are in contact with Palm Beach County on their road resurfacing project, and we're hoping to coordinate, and we are feeling positive that we're going to be able to coordinate with them to not have them resurface the road and then go in and tear it back up. So I think we'll be able to achieve some benefits for both us and them in that project. We did have a recent main break. It was actually yesterday on Point Drive. There were about 60 residents that were impacted. Both FPL and our village police department showed up very quickly to help us out. The water main was right next to an FPL pole, so FPL had to come and hold the pole in place so that it wouldn't be undermined and fall over during the excavation, and then PD helped with the road closure due to the crane from FPL. Our guys were out there till about 7 p.m., making sure we got the water turned back on for those 60 residents. We did receive our first settlement disbursement for the Tyco BASF PFAS settlement. That was $347,571. And we are working to provide the additional documentation for the additional settlements that are coming up. And then last but not least, we did have our Florida Rural Water Association Asset Management Plan kickoff meeting. FDEP was invited, they did not attend, but we did get some good news from that meeting. They feel very confident that our system is in a good place to have this plan wrapped up in the next 2 to 3 months, and that's a conservative estimate, so we're excited about that. And that's the free plan that the association is providing to us that will provide us our interest rate reduction on our SRF loans. So we're excited to get that wrapped up and finalized and submitted to FDEP for their approval and rate reduction. And that is all I have for my updates. I'll take any questions.
Thank you. Council, any questions or comments?
I have none.
Tell me about your water lines and the valves and how often you get to use those and turn them around. Is there a plan to make sure that we're testing those out?
So we try to test them out about once a year. We have a machine actually that goes on the top of the valve, and it'll apply a certain amount of pounds of pressure on each valve and turn it. If we do identify any that are broken, we do put a plan in place to fix them. Sometimes just over the span of even months, if a valve isn't exercised, something gets lodged in the seat of the valve. It can't just close all the way, which is the experience that we had on Seabrook. So Seabrook South was supposed to do that tie-in earlier in the week. And when we went to go isolate it, we couldn't stop the water that was coming. We believed it was coming from the north, and the north was scheduled for the next day. So we said, okay, we'll put a pause on this and we'll go isolate the north. We couldn't just jump to it that day because it would impact Gallery Square North. They had a wine event going on, so we decided to wait till the next day when we had planned and communicated to them. The following day when Ferreira went to isolate that section of Maine, we went back to the south and the water wasn't coming from the south. So we also went 2 valves back on the south, and so we weren't sure where the water was coming from. Our guys were able to exercise valves enough to get it to slow down enough to where our guys performed the tie-in, and they did that to avoid any potential delays or cost impacts to Ferreira's construction job. So our guys were out there making that tie-in.
Thank you.
No comments or questions. Thank you, Allison.
Thank you.
I think one thing to note that, council has supported in the last few years is, the ability to GIS and put all that stuff in our system. So when we do make changes, put valves in, things like that, it all goes into our system. And so the council has supported those contracts when they've come up. So I think we're in a lot better place than we were, 15, 20 years ago, which is some of the problems that we're having out there in the field. So just point to note.
When we bought that piece of equipment, we would go use it on the valves that had not been moved in many, many years, and it would break the valves.
Yes, they. This year they have not broken any when exercising. We are, as Jeremy mentioned, the GIS. Our guys are actually working to set up the GIS to track the valves now. We recently, with the Hydromax, the fire hydrant maintenance, all of those were able to be performed within a couple months compared to taking our guys multiple months to get those done. So that's all on our GIS and being tracked, which is phenomenal. And then with the valves, we're working towards that now. We'll get that into GIS, and we'll just keep going. Once this project is wrapped up, our guys will be able to hit the valves a lot harder. Thank you.
Thank you, Allison. And this department does not have a standing report, so I probably should have brought this up during communications from council, but I do just want to recognize Jay and Meg in your department for putting on a good Arbor Day event. And I think Public Works helps as well, right? So thank you to your team, Doug. It is just a great event. Providence school children come over and they get to write a wish on biodegradable paper and put it in the tree well before the tree's planted, and then they help shovel and plant the trees. So I think it's good to instill those that at a young age. So thank you for putting that good event on. All right, we're moving on to the regular agenda, old business, agenda item 14, ordinance number 02-26, which is a second reading to adopt our 10-year water supply facilities work plan.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance 0226, ordinance of the Village Council, Village of Tequesta, Florida, providing for the adoption of a 10-year water supply facilities work plan pursuant to subsection 163.317 D7 6C of the Florida statutes, providing for the adoption of amendments to the comprehensive plan in order to implement the work plan, providing for the adoption of objectives and policies within the various elements of the comprehensive plan, and providing for intergovernmental coordination of the regional water supply plan with adjacent local governments, providing for transmittal to the state land planning agency, providing conflicts clause, severability clause, effective date, and for other purposes.
Thank you, Keith. Jay?
Good evening, Jay Hopch, Community Development Director, and we're here for the second reading of the water supply work plan. So a lot of cities actually farm these out to consultants to do, and we did get a quote for about $35,000 to do from a consultant to do this, but we decided to do it in-house. So I want to give a shout out to Meg Weibel and to Allison for really taking the lead on and doing it in-house and saving the village a little bit of money. And it went to the state after it was adopted on first reading. No comments from the state. I know that a few other local municipalities have gotten some comments back, so I think we did a pretty good job. No comments, no issues, and we are ready to adopt it on second reading.
Thank you, Jay. Council, any comments or questions?
I have none.
None. Oh, is there
Thank
any?
you for bringing it in-house. Appreciate that.
Any public comment cards? Nope. Any public comment? Nope. All right. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
On to new business, agenda item 15, ordinance number 05-26, which is I guess it's a second first reading, right? That we, for the, to make reasonable accommodations for recovery residents due to new state law.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance 0526, ordinance of the Village Council, Village of Tequesta, Florida, amending Chapter 22, Community Development, Article 3, Reasonable Accommodations, requiring Village Council review of reasonable accommodation requests, clarifying requirements for recovery residences and requiring compliance with minimum housing standards, providing each and every other section and subsection of Chapter 22 shall remain in full force and effect as previously adopted, providing conflicts clause, severability clause, authority to codify effective date and for other purposes. Yeah, technically this is first reading.
Oh, we didn't do first
It's
reading.
the second
It's a
first,
second first
but
reading.
it's
That's right, the second first reading.
Correction. It was originally scheduled, and we pulled it to answer some questions after we workshopped it with council. So it's the first
are
reading.
still at first reading.
Okay.
But it did get pulled from the original agenda. Good evening, Jay Hopch again, Community Development Director. So as you recall, ordinance, this came to you in late 2025. The state has new laws that says that municipalities have to create a process for reasonable accommodation for certified recovery residences. And in late 2025, we adopted ordinance 1225. And that created a staff level approval process for reasonable accommodation requests. At that meeting, I mentioned that there's a possibility that we could do it where it would come to council. So we looked at some other cities that have a process where reasonable accommodations go to village councils for approval, and created an ordinance that structured it that way. Just a real quick summary of reasonable accommodation. It is a change or adjustment that allows a person with a disability to have equal access to housing, employment, or public services. And there are several federal and state laws that require reasonable accommodation: the ADA law, federal and Florida Fair Housing Acts, and the federal and Florida Civil Rights Act. So according to the new state law, an ordinance is required to be consistent with state law and federal fair housing laws, establish a written application process, establish timeframes that a reasonable accommodation shall be processed and approved, and establish minimum application requirements. Our ordinance requires an application that meets all these state requirements, It also, one of the most important things that it requires the applicant to demonstrate that the proposed reasonable accommodation is a sufficient distance from other reasonable accommodation requests to not create a de facto social services district. So if there was a proliferation of reasonable accommodations in a certain area, the village council would have some discretion to deny one. It also requires an applicant provide a floor plan that demonstrates that a proposed reasonable accommodation meets the village's minimum housing standards. So this means somebody wouldn't be able to come in and buy a 3-bedroom house and put 15 people in it. They'd have to meet our minimum housing standards. The ordinance also requires village council review within 60 days of submittal. That's a state law. It does give the village the opportunity to ask for additional information, which resets that clock. It allows an appeal process that where the appeals go to special magistrate, and it allows village staff to revoke a reasonable accommodation if they're in violation. The review criteria that are in the accommodation are that they have to establish they're protected under the Fair Housing Act or the Americans with Disabilities Act, or they have to prove that the reasonable accommodation does not impose undue financial and administrative burdens on the village or require a fundamental alteration to the village's zoning scheme. So there is a little bit of discretion in the council's hands to potentially deny one if it felt that there were undue financial administrative burdens or it was a fundamental alteration of the village's zoning scheme. But of course, we'd have to address that kind of on a case-by-case basis. The Planning and Zoning Board in February voted 5-0 to recommend approval. They did recommend a condition of approval that the Village Council consider adding a stronger requirement for inspections of certified recovery residences. Right now, the code only allows or only has one yearly inspection. However, after reviewing at the meeting, we weren't sure at the time. We did some research, and the village attorney has opined that the village is not able to require more than one inspection a year due to the Fair Housing Acts. These houses have to be treated similarly to normal houses or even like a vacation rental where you have a yearly inspection. We did workshop this with council at the March meeting. Councilman Stone, I don't think you were on the board at the time, but I'm not sure if you listened or not, but here's just a quick summary of the questions that were asked, and then the answers here are kind of what the village attorney and I put together. One of them was, is there a mechanism that would trigger a mandatory inspection? So this would be an inspection in addition to the annual one. And the answer is no. They have to be treated similarly to every other house in the village per fair housing laws. We cannot require interior inspections of houses based on code or police calls. One thing we can do, and I would actually recommend if the council supports this, we can bring this back in our next round of code updates, which is to create a chronic nuisance ordinance. And that would give the village the opportunity to take action against chronic violators of police calls. So if there were periodic noise complaints at the same house, if you have a lot of overdoses at the same house, or if there's repeated code violations, a nuisance ordinance would give us the opportunity to create a path to kind of bring them into compliance. North Palm Beach, where I previously worked, had a very good one. I can take that and some other ones and bring it in our next round of code updates if council is interested.
So quick question on that. Sure. Just that would be its own separate ordinance then? Is that what you're saying? Because I know the nuisance call thing came up last time we workshopped this. So you're saying it can't be in here, it will be a whole separate...
It'd be a whole separate ordinance that we would do, either we would roll it into one of our other ordinances or create an entirely new ordinance for it. Another question was, can we create criteria for when a reasonable accommodation can be revoked? So right now, currently, it can only be revoked when a violation of the application or a condition of approval from the reasonable accommodation occurs, or when there's a failure to maintain necessary certification. So if they lost their Florida certification, we could revoke it, or if there was a violation of their application, if they misrepresented something. Or another thing I failed to mention is that council can impose conditions of approval on a reasonable accommodation. So as you're reviewing on a case-by-case basis, you may say this is a reasonable accommodation, but we'd like these conditions to be in place to protect the neighborhood. So if they were in violation of one of those, we could revoke it. And the third question is, can we create more criteria for the approval of a reasonable accommodation? And the answer to that is no, due to FHA and ADA case law. As crafted, as I mentioned, the applicant has to prove that there's not an undue financial and administrative burden, or they will fundamentally alter the village's zoning scheme or create a de facto social services district. So those are really the criteria that legally the council can review And the village attorney believes that this is currently the strongest that we can include. And with that, that's my presentation.
Thank you, Jay. Council, open it up for discussion.
No questions, but great job bringing this over the finish line.
Yeah, no more questions, in addition to what we've discussed already. But thank you for really looking into a lot of that stuff, especially the legal aspects. Appreciate that.
Only question that I have is concern about overconcentration, maybe on one street or one neighborhood. Is there anything that can help protect that?
So yeah, right now it says that that reasonable accommodation cannot create a de facto social services district in a certain area. So right as it's written right now, and the village attorney, I believe it's actually best to leave it open-ended.
Why? You
have to have a study if you want to create specific criteria, and we believe that it could end up swaying it the opposite way, where we have to allow. But right now, as it's written, if the council thought it was appropriate, and I'll defer to Keith here, the council could say, if one came in the country club and I was the only one in the village, if the second one came in and was in the country club, the village council could say that's a kind of a proliferation of them, and we think the next one should be in a different part of the village. So right now there's a little bit of discretion at the council's hands.
Now, keep in mind, in that example, you got to have a little more than that. You have to bring somebody in who can put evidence in the record, the factual evidence to support that that position. You can't just say that's what I think. You need something in the record. So it's not as simple as simply one of you opining. There's got to be testimony and some record evidence to hang your hat on, so to speak. So just keep that in mind and leave it at that for now.
Thank you.
I just want to say thank you for your work on this. I know we beat this one up pretty good for quite some time. I think that's what happens when we get state preemptions and they strip our home rule authority. But thank you for the work, and I look forward to workshopping a nuisance ordinance.
Sure.
Marianne, any public comments? No? Any public comment? All right. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion to approve. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, moving on, agenda item 16, ordinance number 06-26, first reading for various updates that Jay has to the code.
Okay, ordinance 0626. Ordinance of the Village Council, Village of Tequesta, amending Chapter 66 subdivisions, providing multiple recommended building and building regulation code updates, creating an entirely new Section 6631, designating the Community Development Department as the administrative entity responsible for reviewing plat submittals, amending Section 6632, pre-application procedure to remove obsolete language, creating a new Section 6632, administrative review procedure for plats and replats, amending Section 6651, approval procedure to remove obsolete language regarding procedure, amending Section 6671 to clarify that the Community Development Director shall approve administrative plats, amending Section 6672, clarify the Community Development Director shall approve administrative plats, amending Section 66101 to remove requirement of the mayor's signature for administrative plats, amending Section 66102, final plat to remove requirement for mayor's signature for administrative plats. Per each and every other section, subsection of Chapter 66 shall remain in full force and effect as previously adopted, providing conflict clause, severability clause, authority to codify effective date and for other purposes.
Thank you, Keith. Jay?
Thank you, Keith. Good evening, Jay Hupsch again. This is another state preemption issue, and the state, as you know, has said that we have to amend, or municipalities have to amend their codes to allow plats to be approved administratively. So this is affecting our subdivision code. And what is a subdivision code? It is a set of regulations that governs how land is divided into lots and developed into neighborhoods, including layout of streets, utilities, and infrastructure. It ensures that new development is safe, organized, and consistent with the community's planning standards. So in Tequesta, this is actually typically first used during the site plan process of subdivisions, and then the platting portion usually comes after the fact. Once a subdivision is approved, then it goes through the plating process. What is plating? It's the legal process of turning a piece of land into officially recognized lots, streets, and easements. It takes an approved site plan and creates a detailed map that defines property boundaries, easements, and infrastructure. And once it's recorded with the county, the lots can be sold individually. Municipalities review plats to ensure they match approved site plans and comply with subdivision regulations, including lot layout, infrastructure, and required easements. It is a primarily technical review, so by the time it gets to the plating portion, it's really a technical review verifying accuracy and completeness before the plat is approved and recorded. What is not plating? There's a little bit of confusion out there. There's a process called the unity of title or the parcel combination process, where you can join two lots together or two or more lots for purposes of zoning or taxation. When you do that, the underlying plat is actually not amended, so it's not applicable to the subdivision code. This is actually an administrative process in Palm Beach County. You can do it without municipal review. If there's some concerns about this, that's something we could separately look into or workshop with council. But right now, unity of title, so combining lots is not really relevant to the subdivision and plating code per Keith and I's opinion. Here's just some examples of what plats look like. So this is an old one in the country club. Here's a newer one in Tequesta K. So it's just a procedural thing, laying out lot lines, easements, streets, and things like that so that the parcels can be subdivided. The specific state preemption came from Senate Bill 784. As it relates to us, we do use staff and a contract a contract surveyor to review all the plats that are submitted. There's really two big surveyors in town. If one of them submits, we have the other one review it and vice versa. We then, currently as it's written, we then take the plats to Village Council for approval. I think some of you may have, I think maybe all of you have approved plats in the past. And then once a plat is approved, it's then recorded into the records of Palm Beach County. The Senate Bill 784, adopted in 2025, and I think it's been in place since last summer, now requires all plats to be approved administratively. And we have actually had one come in that we had to approve administratively. It was just a very minor lot shift. We did have to do it administratively, and we didn't have this new process to follow, but we still had to meet the state's law. So we've already in effect been kind of following the state law. The new ordinance will bring the village's subdivision regulations into compliance with Senate Bill 784. The Community Development Director is the designated administrative authority to approve or deny plat applications. They will still undergo the same review process with input from village staff and a contract surveyor to make sure they meet all zoning standards, to make sure that they meet all easements and things like that we would look at technically. Important to note though, all development activity that would previously need a site plan approval to platting will still need site plan approval from Village Council, right? So right now we have a subdivision in review on County Line Road at the old Rood property. That project will come to council as a site plan and a planned residential development. If the council approves that, it would later then go back to the platting process, which would be administrative. We would simply be checking during platting to ensure that everything that council approved during the site plan process is followed. So we would not be giving anything new away to a development. Everything would be decided during the site plan review process still. The PZB at its April 16th meeting voted 5-0 to recommend approval, and that's the conclusion of my presentation.
Thank you, Jay. Council, I'll open it up for discussion.
Hypothetical question. There's two lots adjacent to each other, and they want to be combined as one. Does this fall under, does that scenario where somebody's going to take two lots and make it one, does that fall under this?
That does not. So they can do that through the unity of title process, and technically they're making the lots more compliant with zoning code. Subdivision code generally is trying to make sure that we're not creating too much density, too many new trips, too much strain on our police and fire services or parks. And so this is the opposite from a concurrency perspective, right? But whether or not there's an issue with that process allowing larger homes to happen, that's something that could happen, and it's been raised this week, I think, by a resident email. And if the council wants to address that, we can workshop it. Although we're kind of hand tied by Senate Bill 180.
So it's an administrative process that is done by you or the community development director?
It's technically, right now, Palm Beach County has a process where you can do it administratively without even the municipal review. The county does generally tell people that are doing that to check with the city to make sure that whatever they want to do after they combine the lots could still go through zoning, but it's not even an administrative review right now.
Can anything in this, what we're discussing, be denied? And if so, what would be a reason for denial?
If somebody submitted a plat request, we would deny it if it didn't meet the minimum, well, if it wasn't compliant with the site plan, right? So in the instance of the County Line Road project, if it's approved and someone came in and the site plan you approved said the lots were 80 feet wide and 100 feet deep and the setbacks were 25 feet and there was an easement here, if there was any or the roads were supposed to be aligned this way, if any of those things weren't there, we would say, denied, fix it, make it consistent and compatible with that. If somebody was splitting an individual lot, so that's the thing that can happen more commonly too. I think someone's done one in the country club recently where you have an oversized lot. We're actually really lucky that we don't have a lot of oversized lots. There's a lot of cities that have tons of oversized lots and have a lot of replats where you turn two lots into one. We don't have many. But if someone did go through that process, they used to go to council. It would be an administrative review now. We would be making sure they meet the minimum lot widths, the minimum lot depth, the minimum lot square footage, and that no easements, that it's consistent with all easements, but otherwise there's nothing else we would have to deny it.
It sounds like the approval process is very scientific, specific. Is there anything in this where it can be denied based on harmony and some of the other words that are applicable in some other parts of doing business as a municipality?
That is, again, defer to Keith, but in my opinion, it's best dealt with during the site plan review process. On individual single-family lots, we don't have a site plan review for that, so there is no ability to do that. But if someone did one on a commercial property or on a multifamily property, it would have to go through the site plan review process, in which in case the council would have an opportunity to
That's
say
where it would be caught.
That's where you would say, we think that this isn't compatible. And that's one of I think the first criteria we have is compatibility with surrounding properties. So that's where the council would have a crack at the apple on that.
Thank you.
Just to clarify real quick on what Councilmember Sartori just asked, I want to be clear. If a property owner wanted to submit a replat, whether it's to divide a property or combine parcels, technically, per the state law, could they submit for that prior to submitting for a site plan application?
So as it relates to lot combinations, they could, and they're, like I said, they're administrative. So right now, somebody could do that without us even looking at it. They say, hey, I've got two lots next to each other. I'm going to make these lots larger than they currently are, make one lot. They can do that. For replatting, they would not be able to on true subdivisions, which would be, when it's someone trying to divide a larger lot into 3 or more lots. That would have to come through the site plan review process. On a replat of one lot into 2, that would not go to council. And there's no discretionary site plan review. It's just it goes right to a building permit.
So wait, what about combining that? Like if the owner wants to combine 2 properties next to each other, do they technically have to submit a site plan first, or could they do it?
They can do that prior to submitting a building permit.
I just want that on record because
Yes.
I feel like there's been a lot of talk that, well, we would see it because it would come through site plan approval. But technically, if they wanted to, they could do the replat prior to submitting a site plan. So we don't have control over that per the state preemption, but maybe Keith.
But so are we talking about a single-family residential scenario, or are we talking about a commercial scenario? Right now, we do not take single-family homes through any kind of a public hearing.
Mine would be a multifamily or.
If you're talking about a commercial project or a multifamily, I think
My question, I'm sorry, my question was driven towards a multifamily, not a single family.
So there would be a site plan process there, and that's where you will see that at the site plan process. Then if that requires a replat, that's really a technical thing. That's creating that Mylar piece of plastic that matches the site plan approval, and the boxes get checked and that gets recorded. That's the part of the process that is now administrative. So, if there is a concern, and I don't know if there is or not, but if there's a concern about unifying single-family lots and making two existing into one and potentially allowing the development of a larger single-family residence than is customary, in my opinion, the way to address that is in the code. And, maximum lot size, maximum other dimensions, and through land development regulations, not through this process. This is really taking a technical, and as Jay indicated in his presentation, a technical check-the-box process from this setting to that setting. So
then for multifamily or commercial, they could not submit for a replat prior to a site plan.
that requires,
Remember though, there's a replat is when you're splitting one lot into two. There's a different process called a lot combination that is not related to subdivisions. So it's called, you can do it via unity of title, and attorneys will draft them up, and they will combine two lots that are owned by the same person into one lot. They're not actually changing the plat. They're just combining them for purposes of taxation or for development. And that can be done administratively. And in Palm Beach County, it can be done without village review.
but then the site plan process
But
would
then the
still
site
come
plan
here.
process would still come afterwards. There's no way to circumvent the site plan approval process. But procedurally, if somebody wanted to, they could do that.
And the county approves it? And they
The
don't-
the property appraiser approves it. There's a form they have called a lot combination form.
Okay.
And it says check with your municipality to make sure that what you want to do meets the municipality zoning code, but it does not require a sign off from the municipality to do it. A resident actually did it sometime in 2025, where they bought two adjacent lots. It's kind of right across from the country club. Bought two adjacent lots, wanted to have a pool on the other lot, and I think maybe a small structure. He checked with us to make sure it was something that we could permit, but then the lot combination process went to Palm Beach County, and we did not sign off on anything. So similarly to a commercial project, same thing could happen.
So tying into that specifically, I was a part of a vote where a large lot was being sought to be divided to build two different homes, and we had to vote on it. So did that change?
That's still in effect. So there's two separate things. There's combining two lots into one, and there's splitting one lot into two. They're separate things. When you create more lots, you're subdividing a property. You're
Subdivision,
literally
get that part.
subdividing a property, right? You're creating more density. You're creating more structures in a municipality. When you're combining lots, you're doing the exact opposite. So the combination is not related to this. The split is related to this, and that's what had previously come to council. There was one in the country club on a cul-de-sac where someone had a huge lot split into
Big
two.
banyan tree.
Yeah. And so that process is still in effect. That's the process that's now administrative. The other one has always been something that the county can do and hasn't been affected by this.
My main question was just public transparency. Again, this technically would come to a sitting council once, but they could go before and get the plating done beforehand. So just confirm, it technically would be once in the public.
For the site planner,
Yeah.
so if somebody combined two lots into one and then came back later with a site plan, there'd be one public hearing for it.
But the lots are already combined.
I know.
We're not seeing that.
I just,
But
I
the
just want that on
the
record,
village
that,
council
that could
is,
happen.
the village council would be under no obligation to approve something that was combined. The same site plan criteria is in place whether the lot is combined before or after the site plan request.
But that same scenario in the country club that you voted on a year and a half ago will not come to council anymore.
Okay, duly noted.
Good.
I have nothing else to add, except will the property appraiser notify us or no? Like, how do we find out if that's done?
We're only notified if somebody does it and then comes in with some sort of development application.
Interesting. Okay. Learn something new every day here.
So in theory, you could buy 3 lots all next to each other, put them all in the same, tear down the houses and leave it an empty lot?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any public comment cards? No? Any public comment? Kimberly, come up and state your name and address for the record, please.
Kimberly Windish, 72 Yacht Club Place. The waterfront lots are on Country Club Circle that were split. So my question is, I think they were split into 8,000 square foot lots. What is the minimum of lot square
Kimberly,
footage?
if you could address council and then
and
then ask all your questions, and I'll call Jay up.
So when the lot on Country Club Circle, it's on the water, when that lot was split, it was split into 2 for new construction, spec homes. And the lots are about 8,000 square feet. So I'm wondering, what is the smallest square footage a lot can be?
Thank you, Kimberly. Jay, can you come back up to the podium? Oh, do you have any more questions?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
one more. I think it might be the same street or the street over as the house you were talking about that bought 2 lots or had a lot and then bought the one on the corner for their pool and pool house. Is there a minimum on how many lots you can combine? There should be.
Maximum. Is there a maximum?
Maximum.
Okay,
Those are
thank
the
you.
2 questions.
Jay?
There is not a maximum on the number of lots you can combine. And then on the other one, I don't recall which zoning district it's in, if it's in the R1 or R1A, but whatever those lots that got, the new lots that were created had to meet whatever the minimum size was in that zoning district. So I think if it was 8,000, then the minimum was either 8,000 or 7,500 square feet. I can't recall off the top of my head.
It was a 16,200 square foot lot, and our minimum is 8,100. I think it was exactly it was exactly on the number.
Keith, do you have something to add?
I just have the chart, R1A, lot size, minimum is 12,000 square feet. R1 is 8,000 square feet.
8,000, okay, 8,000.
And then minimum width for R1A is 100 feet, and minimum width in R1 is 75 feet. So those are your, but no, there's nothing that restricts or puts any bookends on how many you could unify or join together at this point.
I knew it was exactly what the minimum was. So it must have been 16,000. It was exactly 8,000 each.
Okay, any other public comment? All right, council, is there a motion
I'll move it. So moved.
to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, moving on to agenda item 17, ordinance number 08-26, which is a first reading for some amendments to the PRD code.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Ordinance 0826, ordinance of the Village Council, Village of Tequesta, Florida, amending Chapter 78 zoning, Article 7, planned residential developments, creating a new Section 78229 PRD waivers, creating a process for applicants to apply for deviation from PRD requirements as long as certain conditions are met, providing each and every other section, subsection of Chapter 78 shall remain in full force and effect as previously adopted, providing conflicts clause, severability clause, authority to codify effective date and for other purposes.
Jay?
Thank you, Keith. Jay Hupsch, Community Development Director again. So this is just modifying the PRD code. A planned residential development is a type of zoning or development approach that allows a mix of land uses and flexible design standards to be planned and approved as a single unified project rather than under strict conventional zoning rules. So when you're developing a new subdivision, there's sometimes they need to have a little bit more flexibility than there is to build on an individual single-family lot that's already been platted. A key feature of planned residential developments is the flexibility to deviate from strict zoning standards. Our existing residential zoning district standards are largely based on pre-platted neighborhoods like the Country Club, where you don't have to build a road, you don't have to have easements, you don't have to provide drainage. The lots have already been created. So when you're creating a new PRD, you now have undeveloped land where you're having to build that infrastructure, drainage, landscaping, open space. And so sometimes there's a little bit of need to create some flexibility in design. And because of that approach, there's a need for, like I said, for flexibility. The village has historically allowed deviation from code standards in PRDs, but has not had a formal waiver process in the code. So the Reserve project, for instance, had waivers for reduced setbacks, lot coverage, and open space, but there was not a formal process to review and evaluate the waivers. In our planned commercial development code section, there is a waiver procedure section that's been in place since 2006, and we basically duplicated that process here. What this does is it gives council an opportunity, like having a waiver process gives council an opportunity to kind of weigh the public benefit, or if a design waiver requested leads to a better outcome. Previously, there was really no criteria. There was no way to weigh whether or not it was worth granting or not. It was very, arbitrary. The approval process for waivers, it happens during site plan approval. It requires written request. It's a recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Board with final approval from Village Council. Important to note, you cannot get waivers for relief from building height, density, concurrency management, and preservation of environmentally sensitive land. So those are things you absolutely can't touch. In the waiver criteria, approval criteria, it says that a request for the Village Council to approve a waiver from one or more of the standards and requirements applicable to a PRD shall comply with a majority of the criteria listed below. So this is going to come up later in my presentation. I think you've maybe had some residents reach out to you about this, and so I'll provide a little more color on that later. The waiver approval criteria are that it has to be consistent with comp plan, it has to meet the purpose and intent of the PRD, it has to support PRD goals like open space or pedestrian amenities, it has to kind of lead to innovative design or provide clear public benefit. It can't be based on economic hardship, it still has to be compatible with surrounding uses, protect public health, safety, and welfare. So there's kind of a lot of things in that criteria process. However, at the end of that waiver section, it says the Village Council may at its discretion require adherence to established zoning district requirements within certain portions of the site if deemed necessary to maintain the spirit and intent of this article. So if the Village Council were to see one waiver criteria that it doesn't like, it could deny it. So a majority of the criteria have to be met to approve a waiver, but that doesn't mean that if a majority of the criteria are met, a waiver automatically has to be approved. So for instance, we can't do anything that's not consistent with our comprehensive plan, right? That's one of the criteria. So if the council thought that something was inconsistent with the comp plan, or that it wasn't in the spirit of protecting the public health and safety and welfare, that alone would support denial of a waiver request. The PZB voted 5-0 to recommend approval of waivers. At the meeting, a PZB alternate suggested that 3 of the waiver criteria should be mandatory and was not adopted as a recommendation by PZB. And I think some people have raised a question about that majority thing. And so I think I have kind of some alternate language here that clears it up so that there's no issue or ambiguity with how to actually enforce this. So the underlined portion is the new language I have, which says that a request for the Village Council to approve a waiver from one or more of the standards and requirements shall comply with the majority of the criteria listed below. So that's kind of what it currently says. But then it's very clear to say satisfaction of a majority of the criteria shall not require approval of a waiver request. And it also makes it clear that the Village Council may deny a waiver request upon determining that the request is inconsistent with one or more of the criteria, such as the comprehensive plan or purpose intent of the article. So I think that kind of clears everything up. And that's the end of my presentation.
Thank you, Jay. Council, open it up for discussion.
Yeah, just a few comments. Thank you, because those were my concerns when I read this. So when we have, say, 11, or if we had 50, is it there? Is that belts and suspenders? I mean, if we can just deny it for whatever we feel, why do we, because we measure what matters. And this looks like, oh, well, you know, I'm glad this language clears that up, but I go back to we measure what matters, and it seems like we're not measuring this. We're measuring it, but we're saying it's okay. So are we putting those in there because it's kind of a CYA, like, oh, it doesn't, because why would we even do anything? I don't understand why we have the first one being, it's not consistent with, it's not consistent with the comprehensive plan. If it's not, we're going to deny it. But is it just, are we stating more of the obvious in this?
Yeah, I mean, it gives council ammunition to deny a waiver if you don't like it, makes it legally defensible. But then having the 11 criteria, it also gives council the opportunity to scrutinize one or to maybe negotiate for more, right? So it says that to grant the waiver, it has to result from innovative design. So if council thought that something wasn't innovative enough, it could say, hey, I might be able to support this, but I think you need to do something that's a little bit more innovative here. So it gives council enough ammunition to deny a waiver, but it also gives council and residents the opportunity to scrutinize a waiver request and ensure that it actually, that what they're requesting is leading to a better overall outcome.
Okay. And my second and last question, is this consistent with the other waiver, the other criteria that I think are 6, right? Or 6 or 7?
It's the same as the planned commercial development waiver criteria.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have nothing.
I do not. Thank you.
Kind of curious why this is needed when we're about fully built out. I know like future 30, 40, 50 years down the road, maybe something, a neighborhood or a whole development will get fully demolished and redone, but application's already submitted for the road property, correct?
Yeah, so that would be
a done deal.
Yeah,
so I'm kind of like, what's the need?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's not essential, but it's one of those things where, you know, as we look through the code, we're always looking for glitches or opportunities to clean it up, finding inconsistencies, and it's something that's not consistent with our other waiver section. So it's just something Jeremy and I thought was worth adding to the code. But we may see PRDs in other places. I mean, one came up on at the reserve, so you could see a PRD in another place like that somewhere, or on a smaller lot somewhere else that isn't on the public's radar right now.
Yeah, there's not, I think, a lot of opportunity for this to begin with. But I'm good with shoring up our code for, like I said, 50 years down the road if something is fully demolished and a new division is built. And I think one section in the code or in the ordinance probably addresses this, but I want to confirm. I want to make sure that the waiver cannot be used to increase lot coverage or decrease setbacks, and that might be covered in item 2D, which is granting of the request will not result in a development that exceeds one or more of the minimum requirements. Is that?
You can request the waiver for setbacks or higher lot coverage, and that's what was granted on the reserve previously. But somebody would have to provide proper justification. So a good example would be for reduced setbacks. If it was bordering other homes, and those homes didn't want the setbacks to be right next to them, they might ask for a waiver for interior side setbacks to be reduced to 2 feet, or to be 0 lot line on the interior of the property, so that they're further away from the existing homes. So there can be times where granting a waiver setback is something actually that the neighbors would ask for.
Okay. So I guess just for record, you could increase lot coverage and decrease setback. You could request that with.
You could, but the council you have to note that it provides a clear public benefit or innovative design, or include, adequate buffering and screening. So somebody would have to provide a good justification for why that's needed.
Okay, and my final comment is 2H says the request is not based solely or predominantly on economic reasons, and there are special circumstances and conditions that warrant the waiver. I will say all of the potential developments that have come our way recently and the developers wanted to meet, all of their reason to deviate from the code and what they want has solely been for economic reasons. So again, it's like we're proving this, but it's always economic reasons, and this is not, I mean, maybe down the road it won't be, but everything we see, it's purely been economic reasons why they're asking for deviations from code. So if that's not allowed, again, I'm kind of like, what is the need for this waiver?
I think that's if it's the sole reason, right? It says not based primarily on economic hardship. So there's going to be an economic factor in everything, right? If it's development, there's some value aspect of what they're requesting, but that can't be the sole reason, right? Someone may say, I need a waiver from this because I'm losing $100,000 if I don't do this. You would be able to say that's not enough justification.
So we don't have a waiver process now, but we've apparently been kind of granting them. Can you explain that? So if we don't approve this, that could still happen regardless.
Yeah,
I'd rather have
it's-
some more guardrails in place, but I'm kind of confused on why we have been approving that if we didn't have a waiver process in place. That's before your time too.
Yeah,
so.
the PRD language is kind of ambiguous enough that it allowed relief from zoning standards, but they weren't specifically called out as waivers that had to meet a certain criteria. So on the reserve, like it's not like it was not mentioned. I mean, it notes on the site plan that the minimum, some of the open space requirements that they don't meet were waivers, but there was not a criteria for council to evaluate them.
Got it. Okay.
Mayor, can I have a follow-up question? We looked at one, and it's not important before. Something came before us, and I think maybe in a conceptual, where it was pursued as a PRD on a specific property off County Line Road. And it was a PRD, from what I recall, we chose that route, or the applicant was choosing that route because the setbacks were less than our typical, and the height availability was higher.
Yes.
So by a PRD, they are already going to have reduced setbacks, the potential for increased height over what our typical height and setbacks would be. So I don't even know why we would even, but so the language in there saying, does that language say that you can't have one of these waivers for density? Did it say density and height?
Density, building height, concurrency, environmental.
Specific to the PRD code.
Mm-hmm.
Just want to make sure there's no confusion there, because if another type of development, it'd be a PUD or standard zoning, would be, the setbacks would be one thing and the height would be another. This PRD application process allows reduced setbacks. So make sure that you say that we're not granting it for the PRD.
Correct.
Just want to make sure that the PRD height requirements and all the zoning, because I know you just put as a bullet point. I mean, I'm assuming it will be written in there if I missed it. I'm going to say that we're not confusing regular zoning with PRDs, because PRD is already giving this an advantage to go PRD, because you're going to get greater height and reduced setbacks. I want to make sure that there's no confusion that you're not going to get a waiver for that.
Correct. It's from the PRD cap of height, which
so
I
there
think
are no
is
waivers in a PRD for height and reduced setbacks.
Yeah, 4 stories and 50 feet.
That's different than what I was just told, because that's why I asked that question is, can these waivers be for increased lot coverage and reduced setbacks? And you said yes.
Which is correct.
So they can ask for even additional decreased setbacks than what the PRD code currently allows.
Correct.
Right, so they can ask for it.
Mm-hmm. And the PRD does already have, it's not much, what are their setbacks compared to, like I know their setbacks are a little less per the code, and they could ask for more now with this waiver, or less.
And the way that they were treated previously, they still could have. There's a variety of different lot types you can do in a PRD that all have different setbacks. So I think there's something like 3 different ones.
I just feel that if a PRD allows them to go build higher and have a reduced setback, there should be zero opportunity for a waiver, because they're already getting more by going through a PRD than they would get in traditional, I'll call it layman's language, traditional zoning, and traditional setbacks and traditional height, right? Because our current height is 33 feet, because we had a property that came, they want to go to 36 feet. Setbacks would be 25, they wanted to go to like 17. I was like, absolutely not. So I don't even think we should allow that, because by going PRD, they're getting more already. I don't know why we'd even allow.
So could we put a clarification in there that maybe if they can ask for decreased or increased setbacks, specifically decrease setbacks, that it cannot be for setbacks that abut adjacent property owners. But if it's internal, and that, like, say you have like 30 homes, if they're gonna do it internally for the new homes that they're building, like that would be okay, but you're not gonna get additional reduce for the surrounding, your neighbors.
But that's what you'll look at during you don't want it to be overly prescriptive. You want to have an opportunity to, and that's what these criteria are for, to give yourself the opportunity. If someone, it's their job to state a case for why a waiver is granted, and you can't design for the future through an overly prescriptive code, and that's why the waiver process is open-ended. There's things that you can get waivers for, like a fence height. Like you might have, like the maximum fence height right now is 6 feet. You might have neighbors asking for an 8-foot fence for more screening. So there are proper reasons that are in the public interest to grant a waiver. And there may be for setbacks, and you want to give yourself that opportunity. For instance, in that Rude property, they designed it, I don't know if you've seen the draft site plan, but they have roads, they have a landscape buffer and an exterior road all around it so that the homes don't abut the neighbors, which I think all residents, prefer. And so I think they're potentially going to want some setback relief because they're kind of giving up some property for that trade-off for those neighbors.
Okay, I mean, at the end of the day, I think more guardrails are good, and I ask these questions too because I think, we know what the expectations are and the thought behind this, and generally we are, quite picky about decreased setbacks and that kind of stuff. But future councils aren't going to know. Future planning and zoning boards aren't going to know. So that's why, I think it's worth a conversation to ask these questions, because I think we change the code, enacting policy, and when we're gone, what are future councils going to do or know about why this was put in place? And hopefully you're still here to guide them. Okay, any public comment? No cards, no. Any public comment? Okay, is there a motion? I guess it'd be for approval or denial, and then if it's approval, if you want to add, could you pull up that screen again that had the additional language? Because I think that would have to be part of the motion.
You should make this. You should make that.
I will make a motion to approve ordinance 826 with the addition of the alternative waiver approval criteria language that Jay is showing us.
I'll second.
Do we need to read that into the record, or is that fine?
No, you don't have to
We're good? Okay.
read that into the record. I think that the language regarding waivers is what
You
was
got it.
stated, so that's.
Okay, just want to confirm. All right, there was a second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right, where are we? Agenda item 18, ordinance number 07-26, first reading of various amendments to the code.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance 0726, ordinance of the Village Council, Village of Tequesta, Florida, amending Chapter 76 Waterway Control, amending Chapter 78 Zoning, and providing updating to definition sections of both chapters, amending Section 76.2, providing a definition for boat lifts, amending Section 78.4, adding a definition for accessory dwelling unit, amending the definition for family, amending the definition for fast food restaurant, amending the definition for waiver, providing that each and every other section, subsection, chapters 76 and 78 shall remain in full force and effect as previously adopted, providing conflicts clause, severability clause, authority to codify effective date and for other purposes.
Thank you, Keith. Jay?
Good evening, Jay Hopch, Community Development Director. I'll be here all night, folks. So,
Gets better.
all right, so this is the last one. This is just some updates to our definitions. On request from the building department, they wanted to define what a boat lift is. There's a little bit of ambiguity in that during the permitting process, so they just wanted to clarify that. We also noted that you can't have roofed, covered, or enclosed boat lifts, like a boathouse type thing. Next one is zoning code. We updated a few things. One of them is to provide a definition of accessory dwelling unit. and also to note that they are prohibited. The state's accessory dwelling unit code did not pass this year, but it seems to be coming back over and over again. I think it's good to have on our books because with I think I mentioned this already, but with vacation rentals, if you'd had vacation rentals on the ordinance on the books before that changed in like 2011, 2012, you were allowed to continue that prohibition. So I think it's good to just have it in there just in case. We also want to clarify that to be considered fast food restaurant, a drive-through or walk-up lane is provided. The current definition of fast food restaurant is very similar to a carry-out restaurant, and that would require restaurants like Three Natives or Guacago to be considered a fast food restaurant and have to get a special exception when really they're just carry-out restaurants. Also notes that waivers are allowed in PRDs, expressly allowed in PCDs and zoning just overlays, but not expressly allowed in the definition section in the code. Also, we wanted to put a definition on the number of people that make up a family. Right now, it doesn't have a cap on the number. Most cities do. The nearby cities, Jupiter and Gardens, is 4, and several of them is 3. That seems to be kind of the sweet spot. Stewart and Atlantic Beach, where I previously worked, have 2. And I think we've workshopped this with council before, and I think everyone kind of felt like 3 is the right number there. And that would certainly help us with things like reasonable accommodation or vacation rentals or short-term rentals or anything of that nature. It kind of prevents single-family home districts from turning into, having too many residents in them. And the Planning and Zoning Board recommended 5-0 for this ordinance at their April 16th meeting. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Council, any comments or questions for Jay?
No.
The boat lift,
Delirious.
the ones that have covers now, like a roof, not a full enclosed boathouse, but have a roof, are they kind of grandfathered in?
They'll be considered an existing one. Just prevents the new ones from coming in.
Why do we not allow them?
Just because they can affect the character of a community. If you have a large structure on there, like if you go out on the intercoastal, on the Jupiter Island side where you've got some people with like proper boat houses, that was the intent, to not really allow a big boat house. Okay. If council wanted to change it so that you could have a small covered structure, that's fine. But the intent was to prevent big boat houses from happening.
Okay, just we do have a couple of ones that have roofs, so I was just curious what happens to them. That's all.
No comment, thank you.
No comment. Any public comment cards? No, any public comment? Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Jay.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Agenda item 19, consider approval of the annex building parking lot and landscaping improvements with irrigation upgrades. Doug?
It's nice to finally get here. Thank you, Jay. Good evening, Mayor, Council. Back on December 2025, the Village Council approved site plan improvements at the annex property located at 465 Seabrook Road. And as part of that, I've put together pricing for improvements utilizing existing contract rates. Parking lot improvements include pothole repair and trench repairs, milling and paving the parking lot, striping, and installation of concrete parking stops. Additionally, I have pricing for landscape improvements that include plantings of trees, hedges, plants, and sod, replacing the irrigation pump that is currently seized, and time clock, relay valves, and wiring. And then additionally, I have some contingency once we fix the irrigation pump. I'm sure there's going to be some irrigation pipe and some heads that need to be replaced. So the total project cost is $52,500. It is not currently approved in this year's budget. So approval of this item would also include an improvement of a budget transfer.
So just to elaborate on that, so all of these items I could, in theory, sign, and we could do it without council approval, except they're not budgeted. So these items we would, if approved, will come back with a budget transfer.
Thank you. Council, any comments or questions?
No, ma'am.
Budget transfer from where? What account?
Well, we'd look to absorb this with, at the end of the year if we have, funding unused funds. But if not, we'd pull it from unassigned fund balance.
Okay.
We think we can probably absorb it, but we'll see. I mean, the one place that we're looking at absorbing it would be the metal building that we're having out at Tequesta Park. We hope that we're going to be under budget with that, although we know that we've had some requests from Martin County, so it was best not to utilize those funds until we know. So that's why we're coming back and getting approval prior, and then that way we'll make that adjustment at the end of the year.
Thank you.
Do we have an anticipated completion date for the exterior facade improvements and the landscaping and parking lot?
Once this is approved, the parking lot work would take approximately 4 to 5 days, and the landscaping about a week and a half.
What about the exterior?
Wayne is working on that portion of it. You mean the painting and the facade?
Yeah, the facade.
Yeah, Wayne is working on that out of the building fund. And I know they're waiting on some materials, and they're supposed to start construction about the first week of June.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it'll be starting soon. That's
Yes.
great to hear. Okay, thank you. Any public comment cards? No? Any public comment? All right, is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Agenda item 20, consider approval of the Tequesta Park fence installation and removal. It's removal and installation. Yeah, that's bad.
Good evening, Council. Greg Corbett, Parks and Recreation Director. The item that we're looking at tonight is for Tequesta Park, and when we removed all the non-native vegetation, it exposed a lot of the existing fence that's been kind of hodgepodgey and torn apart. Some areas are open, so we are requesting that we create the boundary for the park on the east and west side of the entrance. We've gotten 3 bids on this. The amount of the project is $39,758.
Thank you, Greg. Council, open it up for discussion.
No comments?
I should build fences for a living.
So I question everything. I don't like it. Not for whatever reasons. But if you look at other parks, a lot of them, some of them even don't even have a fence. And I know they're not necessarily our Village of Tequesta, but like Coral Cove doesn't have a fence. Even some of the parks in Avocoa, it's more of like a wood barrier kind of a concept. Like the idea of blocking in the gate so cars can't come in at night, but I would rather wait and see what happens with the park and see if we can have some type of consistency within the village on the way the fences look, even matched up to Constitution Park or whatever, which I understand might be more expensive, but I think I'd like to see some consistency. Sure. Not sure how anybody else feels about it, but
I don't fully disagree. I think there has to be something, and I just think security-wise, especially for the ones that are got to be regulating that with their PD, that's really all me. But I don't really, not picky about the type of fence.
Sorry. Go
Go ahead.
I understand Kyle's comments, but what potentially could become of Tequesta Park, I think would need to be protected, not only from vandalism, but also because of some of the accidents that would be there. I think there could be after-hour kids that could get hurt, and I think it just opens up to a lot of liability. I mean, yes, there's a tremendous amount of liability when somebody can go swimming at night over at Coral Cove, but there's no fence. We have a fence if somebody breaks in and does something and damages it or gets hurt. I think we've got a little bit more teeth behind defending ourselves, I think. So I understand the natural beauty of it all, but I also think that with what in our parks plan, what we have proposed for this, I think if it comes to fruition, I think we really need to protect it. So.
Were your 3 bids only for chain links?
Yes, ma'am.
So we don't have any kind of gauge of,
It's a vinyl black, typical chain link.
No, I know, but the one like we have at Constitution Park, like that white one.
Oh, that would be
a lot. I know,
more
but we don't
expensive.
even have.
I didn't even think about that.
I mean, ideally, I would like that better because it is going with our theme of being cohesive. Also showing that we are trying to do something with that park. And this would be kind of a PD question, but going back to like my childhood, chain link fence are actually really easy to climb and jump. And that white one we have at Constitution is a little bit harder.
Do you have any more comments?
I would just recommend that we maybe get a quote for a fence that is consistent with the aesthetics.
Yeah, I mean, from a security, are there any cameras out there now?
No, there isn't.
No, none. So,
And I don't mean to cut you off, but I mean, we looked at that as we were talking about putting the new building in, and it's going to be significantly higher because we don't have any fiber out there. The closest fiber is a pretty good run. We were able to put fiber out in Remembrance Park because we were running it for the annex building. So, I mean, it's going to be a significant cost. I mean, we paid $50,000 to $60,000 for those cameras at Remembrance Park. I mean, you're probably talking about like 4 times as much to put cameras out there because of the fiber run that it's going to be to put them out there.
okay, so no cameras. And I mean, I do think security is important there. We have important assets on that property. We have wells. Soon will be, I don't know what's going to be stored in that maintenance building, but there's going to be probably equipment stored there. So security is going to be important. I mean, I don't know. You're suggesting putting up white fencing everywhere?
Just matching what we
I'm
have.
not saying it has to be white.
So I was for this black, I was thinking like green chain link fence. I don't know if green coated would be a price change from the black, but I think green at least would kind of blend in a little bit more with the vegetation. Maybe
The existing fence that's out there that's usable is the black vinyl. And
Yeah.
Also, the gate is
it's black. Okay, so you want to stay consistent. I just feel like it's going to be really expensive to do that.
It will.
Is it the fence at Tequesta or at Constitution Park is PVC, right? Yeah. How high is it?
It's maybe 2 feet. Lower. It's more an aesthetic look.
Yeah. So I'm thinking from
It's only serving just depending on how you want it to look.
That fence isn't 2 feet. It's up
No,
here.
he's talking about the exterior fence at
Oh,
Constitution.
you're talking about the
Constitution.
fence
Yeah, I'm
along-
like
along Dover
like,
Road.
yeah,
that's
Yeah.
higher.
I'm like 2 feet.
That's
We
what I
got
was
two different
picturing.
types
I
of
can hurdle that thing.
PVC, fencing in the park. I thought you were referring to the ones around the playground. Yeah, the ones, the fencing along Dover Road is at least 6 feet. Yeah.
I just think aesthetically too. I know we want to try to have consistency in our vision, and that it's very apparent that it's a Tequesta asset, but a village asset. But I feel like having the chain link is nice because that is a very natural area, and I think if you put up that white fence, you're going to block that view. I know part of this plan is important to our residents to maintain that natural area, natural look. So I'm a little worried if we do a white solid fence like that, you're just blocking that beauty of all the vegetation there. So, and I guess I would like, from an opinion standpoint, from PD, I mean, from a security standpoint, is it that much of a difference with the chain link versus the PVC? I think people are gonna get over it, find their way over the fence either way, probably, or I don't.
If they want to get over it, they're gonna get over it. Yeah, they're gonna find a way. So, fence or no fence.
So who's it stopping?
Excuse me?
Who is it stopping?
Well, when you think about if, like what Mr. Sartori was saying, that we'd have a leg to stand on if something was to happen in the park, and we have a barrier, and if there is no barrier, then we could say, well, we didn't block it off, so that's the one main thing that I'm thinking about currently right now. But,
So there was several reasons that I know when we talked with the Parks and Rec director and the police, fences deter people, whether they can climb it or not. It does deter people from doing it. And then, instead of people just walking randomly through, our hedges and trees and bushes, it's defined area where they're gonna go in and out of. So as we landscape that and some of that green grows back, it helps protect some of that. So there's several reasons why the fence is important. What fence you guys wanna go with, that'll be your guys' decision, but that's why we have the recommendation to add the fence.
I appreciate your comments and ideas, but for me, I think just maintaining the chain link aesthetically will just look better too, so we don't block all the natural areas of the park there. Any other comment? Questions from council?
How long would it take to get a quote on a different type of fence?
I can, a couple weeks, maybe.
I don't know. I'm not disagreeing with you, Mayor. I just feel like if we were to make a solid decision and then it moves forward, we spend money on it, at least we have all the facts and figures in front of us, and then we can say, we looked at this, we looked at that, and this is what we came about.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. Aesthetically, I'm just not in favor of it too.
I know.
That's why, yeah.
So but with a quote, it would come with a picture on site. I know what that would look like, but maybe not the public. And again, for me, that would just be us doing our due diligence, and then we could say, transparency wise, we looked at quotes for this type, what it would look like. This is what we decided on. And I feel like right now we're just kind of split. So I would be more in favor to kind of go in that direction, because that would just take a little more time from Greg, and then we can make a decision since we're spending money on it.
I mean, the chain link fence vinyl is your most economical.
It is.
Basic,
I know.
Bottom of the line fencing. Now we're talking about, the Cadillac version of fencing, so, but we can, I can get you quotes.
I just feel like it's a simple look at.
Yeah.
And again, right now I feel like we're kind of not in a really heavy consensus.
Well, no, I think a fence is important. I just think if we're going to do, I think, and we're going to plan on putting money into that park, potentially, that we want that whole thing to look as well on the front end as it does in the back end. So I would either see this as a temporary thing, and I just have a hard time spending $40,000 temporarily. That's it. I know the fence blocks it, but also think if you landscape it, it looks nice too, so.
Councilmember Sartori, anything else to add?
I'm sorry.
Anything else to add?
No.
Is the old fence is still currently up, or has that been taken down already?
Ish.
Yeah, I know it's in bad condition, but it's still there?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
So if I do go get other quotes, you're talking about the fence that's on Dover Road, the one with the slats that you can actually see through it.
Yes.
Is that the one that you guys are, okay, just want to make sure.
Just for the entrance off of County Line. I'm not envisioning a whole park.
Correct.
But again, my job up here is to look at all the facts and figures and options.
Sure.
And then when I have to say to people, this is why I voted, that would allow me to say, this one was way expensive and maybe visually not as pleasing when we got the drawings and diagrams.
Okay.
And then I can fairly say that to them. That's where I am.
So the gate, leave it the way it is, or try and match it with the,
It's just the chain link swinging gate, correct?
yes.
I think that's the easiest.
Okay.
I don't know.
Can you pull a map up on the screen? Can you pull a map up, please?
The map of where we have the fence or
No, just the park, so we can kind of make sure we're all on the same page.
these two, is that?
But the gate doesn't necessarily need to be replaced right now, correct? Like it's functioning?
No, we just fixed that, so that's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are going to be the complete boundaries that you would want the white, quote for the white fence? Is it along that whole entire, because it's hard, it's a little disjointed, the layout on, that is in our,
It
in
is.
our-
It is because there's a lot of natural vegetation that's along the sidewalk. So we would have to come off the sidewalk a little bit, or we would remove that vegetation so that you would have a nice clean line from one boundary, from the east boundary to the west boundary.
So is that?
It's hard to describe without us like going out there and like walking it. But there is some areas where we'd maybe have to set it back.
And that's why I just wanted to pull up the map to clarify, because what's in our backup, it's not like a clear
No,
fence line.
You see
So that's
a
why
lot
like
of-
where like what is our request of Greg for the white fence? Is it like we're gonna put it right up at the sidewalk, or we're gonna rip out some landscaping, push it back, just so he knows he has direction and can get the right number for us? Or do we leave it up to his discretion?
I mean, I think the way you have it drawn already is makes sense to me.
There's two different ones.
Well, one's where it is, and then one where it's going. So it's roughly 900 feet.
I
don't think you got quotes for this front part right here, right? Like, I think it was just when it started getting into, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that this is all still intact, so we weren't gonna do that. So when we're talking about 39,000, it's not including any of this.
Yeah.
And then when you get into where,
It's on here.
and for the record, FWC, that was a partnership with FWC that helped remove all that, the invasive species out there, and it was a grant by Parks and Rec team, so, kudos to them. But, so behind all this foliage, that's where they came in and done that project. So that's all we're proposing is just the part that's behind that. So if we're talking about consistency, I would gather that we'd be talking about go ahead and getting quotes for the fence, including this linear, and otherwise you're gonna have it piecemealed, right? So it's gonna add significantly to the cost just by adding linear feet to it. So, and then on the other side, the same thing. I think it's pretty consistent though, but I think the very front part, you see the fence there, but as it kind of gets into the other part is where we got quotes for it. So that's why that on the agenda packet, it's separate, two separate areas, because we just calculated, or he just got the quote for the linear feet for the areas that needed it. So if we're talking about changing the fence, I guess that's where Mayor Young's question comes in. Where are we going to, are we doing the whole thing?
Why didn't you start with that?
I didn't know the question was coming, so I apologize.
Okay, so I support a prettier, more aesthetic, welcoming, cohesive fence, but it wouldn't match that. I'm looking at our backup. So going through the landscaping, I'm fine with the chain link. But I see where you're going with it, and I support looking at a quote in the future whenever we're gonna do the entrance where the gate is, and then how it opens up. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
But I
we
didn't
can-
know that fence is staying there.
That should be something that we, right now, it's good to know this, because with our discussions with Kimberly Horn and the master plan, if this is something that we want to, put in the part of that project, now's the time to do that.
Okay, well, I would support looking into that for that front section, but if this chain link is going through the trees, I'm fine with that. I was talking about the quote for the front, so I would be fine the way it was written tonight. And your drawing of the new, rather than the currently it is, like this,
Yes.
right? I actually think it'd be more costly to do like the one you presented to us in here, where it's just going across.
Okay.
I mean, linear feet, that's less, so.
That's what I prefer.
Yep.
So for security purposes now, potentially proceed with this, but consider this and improvements to the gate when we hopefully eventually do that big capital improvement there. I think that would make sense. Okay, any other discussion? Any public comment cards? Nope. Any public comment? All right, is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
I'm gonna say no.
Okay, and on this, I have agenda item 21 for the roof replacement project, but I don't think,
That had been removed.
yeah, that's still on, okay, sorry, it's on my,
It was-
it's on both copies, I don't know what's happening over here. says remove, so I'm just gonna say we're going on, so for record, agenda item 21 for roof replacement work outside of standard work hours is being removed. So we're on to agenda item 22, consider approval of Holtz Engineering contract for preparation of a water facility plan for emerging contaminants SRF loan opportunity.
Thank you, Mayor. Council, Allison Berg, Utilities Director. Before you tonight is consideration of approval for the work authorization for Holtz Consulting Engineers, who currently facilitates all of our SRF loans from our request for inclusion that we're about to submit for Water Main 3 to the construction inspection, submitting all of our Davis-Bacon wage requirements to FDP, coming and doing our interviews with the employees. They handle all of that on the SRF side for all of our projects. So right now that would be Water Main 2, Beach Road Phase 2, and the water treatment plant upgrades once that gets awarded. And then they recently closed out Water Main 4 when that was underway. So they're very familiar with our SRF requirements, with the SRF project overall, and with FDEP and everything that they require. So before you tonight is the work authorization for the Emerging Contaminants SRF water facilities plan. So a facilities plan is required to be submitted and approved prior to requesting any funding for projects within that plan. So we currently have two plans. The first one is for Water Main 1 and 4 and the water treatment plant upgrades. That was submitted back in 2021. And then in 2024, we updated it with all of the water main improvement projects besides Water Main 1 and 4. So now with everything coming up with the PFAS and Kimley Horn doing our master plan, once we identify a path forward, those projects will be included in this facilities plan and submitted for emerging contaminants SRF. That type of SRF is a little bit different than what we currently have. We have drinking water SRF. The emerging contaminants is specific mostly for PFAS and what a lot of utilities have used for PFAS. It is principal loan forgiveness. It is offered for us. We would qualify for principal loan forgiveness. And so it's more lucrative for us to pursue that type of funding. The reason why we haven't in the past is because you have to have this facilities plan done and you have to identify those projects. We didn't have any projects related to emerging contaminants, as well as the fact that there wasn't a lot of funding for this. The funding that was provided was scooped up pretty quickly and the pot of money ran out pretty quick. But with recent talks to FDEP, it is believed that they have secured more funding for emerging contaminants. And so in order to prepare for when that opens up in August, we would have to have this plan in place. It will not be in place and ready and approved by FDEP for the August request for inclusion meeting, but we are hoping to have it in place for the following meetings after that. The cost for this plan is $39,650. We did not budget for it, so that is why it's coming before you tonight. And we are requesting to utilize some of the settlement funding that we received through our Tyco BASF PFAS settlement to cover the cost of this project. And also doing this now will provide us the ability to submit it for the rest of the settlements that are coming up for those deadlines, so we can potentially receive some of this cost back through those settlements.
Thank you. Council, any comments, questions?
None from me.
I know you had sent an email kind of just explaining this, but just for the record, Kimley Horn's working on a master facilities plan, and part of that was options for how to deal with the contaminants. So that's not done, or maybe it's done, but it hasn't been brought to council yet, so council can decide what direction we want to go with that. So what are they working on in relation to that?
So
Because
this
it feels
plan,
like, is that related to whatever Kimley Horn's recommendations are going to be to deal with the contaminants?
yes. So the facilities plan that has to be provided to FDEP for approval prior to any funding requests, there's multiple portions of it. It's not just the project. So there's your typical operation and maintenance of your facility. There's your daily demands, your flows, your wells, your current assets, the conditions of those assets. So they can begin to start working on that now. This will take anywhere from 2 to 4 months to complete. So they can start working on that now. And that provides us enough time to present the master plan from Kimley Horn, decide what route we want to go, and then give that information to Holtz. Some of the information that is required to be in the plan, like the state that we're in with our PFAS and kind of the situation and why we need the funding, that can all be done now because that's not going to change. It's just the path forward, and that can all be provided as soon as we provide the master plan to council, which I believe right now is planned for the end of June at a workshop.
Okay, well, I don't want to miss on the opportunity of getting potential funding, so I appreciate this being brought to us, but it feels slightly cart before horse thing since Kimley Horn's not done. And I know this predates you, but we spend so much money on consultants for the water utility, and we have multiple times now had to go back and pay consultants again to revisit and change plans that were put in place. I just, like, if this gets approved, I do not want to see a change order for an additional cost because council decides we want to go one direction on Kimley Horn's master plan and they started marching down a road, like another road. So I just want to make that really clear so that I hope that timing works out because that's going to be very disappointing if we have to approve another consultant agreement to make changes on something that we approved already.
Completely understand, and I do not anticipate any changes.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other council comments or questions? No, ma'am. Any public comment? Any public comment? Nope. All right, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, moving on, agenda item 23. Nope, that one was removed, still on my agenda. So for record, I'm gonna say 23 for consider approval of Kimley Horn's authorization to complete a water utility financial forecast and capital recovery charge study is removed. So we're on to our final agenda item finally tonight. Agenda item 24, consider adoption of our 2026-2027 strategic plan.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Before you tonight is consideration of adoption of the Village of Tequesta's 26-27 strategic plan. This plan is the result of the council's strategic planning workshop held on April 13th, where the council engaged in a collaborative and forward-looking discussion to establish priorities and direction for the village over the next several fiscal years. The proposed strategic plan serves as a comprehensive roadmap to guide policy decisions, capital investments, organizational priorities, and resource allocation. It reflects the council's continued commitment to preserving Tequesta's unique character and high quality of life while strategic planning for the future. The plan is organized around three primary focus areas: delivering and sustaining high quality municipal infrastructure and services, protecting community appearance, character, and identity, and operating a fiscal responsible government. With those focus areas, the plan identifies specific council priority initiatives, including water infrastructure investments, stormwater resilience, mobility and safety improvements, Tequesta Park redevelopment, beautification projects, future facilities plans, and evaluation of long-term funding strategies. The strategic plan is intended to be a living and dynamic document that will be regularly reviewed and updated as priorities evolve and projects advance. It is also provides a transparent framework for tracking progress, maintaining accountability, and aligning future budgets and capital improvements plans with the council's adopted priorities. With that, you have the strategic plan.
Thank you. Council, open up for discussion.
Nothing new for me.
Nothing for me.
I think it was a great process. Joe?
My only comment is we ranked these, discussed these and ranked them prior to us seeing the space studies that were done, that we workshopped last week, and develop future master facilities plans was ranked number 3. And after seeing what I saw at the workshop, I am really not in favor of that being ranked as high as it is now. I think the water utility facility, maybe not that building, but any projects that we're doing for the existing facilities kind of falls under item 1. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
So I don't know if there's consideration on maybe dropping down that develop future master facilities plan based on what we saw last week.
Kind of already assumed it was after last week's discussion.
So do we, we could remove it altogether or just keep it on there so we know it's an eventual goal, but like it shouldn't, like staff shouldn't be really, it's number 3, so they shouldn't be budgeting and really trying to drive that this year.
So where they're going to budget that from?
That's what I'm saying. So that's why I'm like, maybe we lower it so they don't focus on it.
I'm fine with that.
I am too. Kind of right that was happening.
Bottom? Put on bottom?
Gotcha.
Okay. Any public comment cards? No, any public comment? Okay, so the motion would be to approve with putting strategic item number 3, develop future master facilities plan at the bottom. Is there a motion for that?
Oh, sorry. I will make a motion to approve the strategic plan with moving the master plan for facilities down to the bottom.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right, any other matters?
Just one thing, and it's not on the agenda tonight, and it will be coming before us. But I just, for the record, the issue we're having with Core and Main and the water meters that, and their lack of willingness to pay, I just want to, for the record, say that I think when we can terminate that contract, I would suggest that staff, I don't think it's my job to say that, but I want staff to really consider trying to find another vendor for water meters. That's it.
Just for that one, and you have expressed that to me. Core and Main's been a good vendor for us for a lot of the fittings, and so I don't think we're ready to pull the plug on them, but the meters, we are looking at a different vendor for that in the future. So they've been a good partner with us up until that point, so.
I have nothing to add for tonight.
So one thing I want to maybe make a suggestion, a couple things, 2 suggestions. We have a general employees pension and a public safety pension, 2 boards. I'd request that the staff look into see if there's a possibility of combining them to create some efficiencies. I don't think it's necessary to have 2 separate ones. There's a lot of things there's a lot of overlap that's done between the 2, and I think you can potentially combine those. And so that would encourage staff to look into that, if that's okay with everybody.
So I think, well, at the workshop next month, we're talking about boards and committees, right?
Yeah.
I think that might be a good opportunity to kind of just look at all the boards and committees and if there's any efficiencies and changes we should make.
Yeah, I just don't know if it's can physically be done. I think it can, and so.
I'm gonna get you an update when we do the committees, but our first look at that was a no because of the 175 and 185. It has to be separate. But I don't have I haven't even ran it by, legal or anything. That was me and Jeff sitting around the table. So,
No ideas. The other thing on our agenda today was that rate study. I would like to also encourage staff to be able to see if they can run that rate study in-house with all the new technology out there to be able to run analysis and data. That rate study basically pulls a lot of data from our capital improvement projects, and there's a lot of all that information comes from us. So we already pretty much have everything. I practiced on that, and I ran a little thing, and guess what? It works. So I would encourage staff to at least have that as an option, or at least look into that and see if that is an option.
And well, I had these comments if we were going to talk about the item, but if it does come back to us, I would have liked to see other quotes too. I think continuity is good, but sometimes with something this significant, sometimes the second set of eyes is good as well. So depending on what staff brings back to us there, I would like to see other options and other quotes or what you just suggested.
That's all I have.
Right, I don't have anything. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.